Hello. Sorry. There we go. We have Mike. Helping someone with some Discord stuff, making sure we can hear each other. But anyway, hello! How are you guys this evening? Hopefully this stream goes well better than the other ones. This one was actually planned out, and I had a lot of fun creating the graphics for this. Anyway, as the title implies, yesterday was my 5th wedding anniversary, and so I've been married for 5 long years. It's been a bumpy ride, but it's been very much worth it how far me and my husband have come. So I have a set of notes I'm going to go off of. There are some things that I just want to talk about. Disclaimer, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a professional. I'm not going to instruct anybody to do anything. I'm just going to talk about stuff from my experience and hopefully get some other people on. I already have one person in waiting to come on, and this stream is also going to serve as a double whammy. I have an acquaintance of mine, HeyDude77 from Twitter. I'm going to see if we can hopefully get him some funds. He has a GoFundMe going. Gist of the situation is that he moved in with a best friend to help them out. Shit happened, and now his friend is jobless. I believe they've lost their car or had to sell the car. The link to it is in the description if you guys want to check that out. And if you have any extra shekels, money, go ahead and throw them his way. Retweet it. But yeah, just help a guy out if you can. And if you can't, just retweet it. I'm gonna do my best. I know this is me start up, but anyway, enough blathering. Let's get to it. I'm gonna bring in HeyDude77. So let's get this started, shall we? Also, how is the audio? I know audio balancing was not the greatest. So, tell me how it sounds. I did do a couple of tests to make sure that the music did not drown out my voice, so hopefully it's good. But anyway, without further ado, I'm going to turn up desktop and I'm going to bring in... Hey, you still there?
Yep.
Okay, so audio check. Tell me, guys, are you able to hear him okay? Hey, careful not to rub on your mic there.
Do what?
I said be careful not to rub on your mic.
Oh, I'll have to watch for that. It's on a cord off of my headphones and it kind of dangles, so.
Okay. But anyway, so, real quick in the introduction, I explained a little bit about the GoFundMe, gave a basic gist. If you want to quickly give, like, a more detailed summary as to what's going on, why the GoFundMe in the first place, that sort of thing, and then we'll get started.
Alright, so I'll give you all I'll give you the long/short version. My wife and I, we were, in a technical sense, homeless. We're living out of the truck, technically, because we got evicted from an apartment back in July of last year, or June, one of the two. But anyway, we lost an apartment we were renting. A couple months after that, some friends of ours that were expecting a baby asked if we could move in and help take care of bills, because they knew that when she went on maternity leave, they were going to have a hell of a time paying bills, because they both worked restaurant jobs. Now, we moved in. We stayed there for a few months. She had the baby. My wife and I still went on the truck, but we stayed there on our off time and helped them pay the bills. But shortly after the baby was born, I believe, the father got laid off. I'll reveal their first names. Father's Ty, mother is Megan. Anyway, Ty got laid off of his job. They couldn't afford to keep some of their employees. Him and like 8 other people got laid off. So Megan was stuck giving her income. He tried looking for a job, but our job market sucks. Really sucks. It's mostly like fast food jobs, and if you're lucky, maybe one of the manufacturing jobs on a couple of the factories outside of town, but there's not much out there. But anyway, then as time went on, he also got stuck between having to stay home and take care of the baby, because he's got to take care of the baby while Megan's at work. Jobs that are night shift are very hard to come by, including fast food 24-hour jobs, because we only got like 2 24-hour fast food joints out there. And then to make matters worse, about 3 weeks ago, Ty got in a car accident with Megan's car. So they're having trouble with getting insurance to do anything, partly because towing's got the car, and you don't know how they will keep the car, and if you don't pay after a certain amount of time, they legally own the car. They can get the title from the government or whoever has the title. And they got maybe till this weekend to be able to get it out in order to get it diagnosed to see if it's total, to see what the insurance has to do, if they got to replace it or fix it. But then we also had another monkey wrench thrown in there. We got a notice the other day that said they have 3 days to pay their rent or they're going to get evicted. Luckily, we extended that till the 20th, but they're in the hole about $300. We need at least $300 to make up what Megan can't pay for. So that's the starting goal, is at least $300 to try and save their house, or apartment, I mean, not house. But first goal is $300 to save their house. After that, we're going to try to get about $2,000 to try and get the car out of impound, which is about what it's going to cost, between $1,200 and $2,000, or $1,200 and $2,000. After that, we're going to try to get to $3,000. That's our overall goal, because that will make sure that they're safe until Ty can get a job.
Dang, that
Am I still on?
That is crazy. But yeah, so first goal, guys, is 300. Hey, dude, I've made you a mod so you can litter the chat with it. Hopefully we get more people in. Like I said, I really don't have much of an audience. I'm just starting out, so... But hopefully we can get going here. Hey, Gabe. Hello, Ken.
Shield the link.
Okay. Hey, John. Let's see. I don't want to see people mean. Look at this. Okay, I'm just saying, Ken, just be nice. Ugh, my allergies. Give me one sec here. Good grief. Hold on.
What is it? And in case anybody is curious about how the GoFundMe is working, I'm operating it, but I will give the money to Megan and Ty. And as I stated on the video on my channel when I announced it, I will, if anybody requires, I'll post proof that I gave it to them.
Okay. So there you go. You have receipts. Sorry, I had to take care of my nose. I was not doing that on camera. But anyway, let's get to the topic of hand. And for those of you tuning in afterwards, yeah, if you can donate, like I said, the link is going to be in the description below, and you'll see it floating around in the chat. I'm doing alright, Gabe. But anyway, so there's...
Hey, Gabe, I can't see the chat.
Oh. During my past 5 years of marriage, or what? Oh, hey, dude, watch your mic. During the past 5 years of marriage, there's a lot of stuff that they tell you that, I don't know, just in a sense doesn't matter to me, or really isn't realistic, and it does depend on the couple as well. Some of the things that I want to go over is expectations, realistic ones versus unrealistic ones, trying to mimic the household you grew up in, because that was a big problem with me. Religion ties into that, splitting bills, money, financial crap, and then if we get to it, counseling. So, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that they don't tell you about marriage. There's a lot of things that they don't go over, and as much as they try to stuff all this crap into your head, oh, well, expect this in your marriage, oh, don't expect this, don't do this, don't do that. A lot of it, I'm going to tell you to toss out. There's basic rules, like for me, as people already know, I'm traditional marriage. I'm not gonna vouch for an open relationship. I think people who do that, you'll need help. I've said this before on Twitter, that's just me. If you gotta bring someone else into it, you got problems. But anyway, to cover the first one, expectations, and hey dude, while you're here, I'll ask your opinions on this too. Expectations. So when you first got married, I don't know how long you've been married, what were you told to expect?
3 years.
Huh? What?
I was saying I've been married for 3 years. We've been married for 3 years now.
Ah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Making sure my mic's working. Anyway, now we've been married for 3 years. As far as expectations go, like, it's kind of hard to explain because I probably have a weirder perception of expectations than some other people do. Like, here was my thought. Like, I expected her to, like, common, like, splitting half of the chores. Due to the fact that I was a truck driver, knew I was going to be a truck driver since forever, and had expected that there would have to be differences in my marriage versus somebody else.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me fix that. Anyway, for those of you that don't know, I drive a truck for a living, so I knew my marriage was going to have to work a little differently than a, for lack of a better phrasing, traditional marriage where both parties are at home. Because I'm gone and I'm home for 2 to 4 days out of the month, for the most part. So I knew a few things were going to have to be different. For example, she's going to have to do a majority of the housework and take care of the kids while I'm gone. Depending on where we live and how we're doing and how much money I'm making, probably have to work a job as well. And I know that it comes with a lot of stress because, I mean, if you look at divorce rates, one of the higher ups, like, we're like third on the list for reasons for divorce, or divorces based on careers, like under firefighters and police officers. Somewhere up there. But, so yeah, I had to expect that she could handle that she can handle doing the chores and stuff that come with me being gone for most of the time. Though what I tried to do is counteract the problems about it being kind of uneven. For example, usually when I'm home, unless it's something I can't do on my own, if I'm home for the most part, I try to do all the chores and let her have a break. So, we have one kid. She doesn't live with us at the moment, but we do have one kid, and we have planned for future kids. Like, the same rule is going to kind of apply to them. They'll get a break from chores while I'm home, for within reason, as long as they behave themselves, stuff like that.
Yeah. I know for me, I think I've talked about this on my videos before. I could have sworn that I've mentioned it. If not, I'll mention it again. Growing up for me, I didn't have, and this is not to bash them, I love my parents to death. I didn't have a good example of a marriage. I know what one looked surviving, but as far as like expectations, there was splitting the chores half and half. There was, the husband has all the say. It just things like that. And even with the chore thing, because I'll tell it here. I'm not going to say for what company, but my husband recently has become a truck driver as well. Like no joke. So I only get to see him like once a week now. Actually spend time with him on the weekends. But so over the past 5 years, we have fought about chores, and I'm not going to bash him on this stream. I love him to death. There's certain things that he has done for me that normal men wouldn't have put up with, or they would have, and I'm going to be blunt, they would have cheated on me. And I'm not going to go into it because it's a little inappropriate, a little bit too personal. But we have fought about chores, we have fought about when to do the chores, who does what chore, and so pretty much, especially when it comes on the chore aspect, I know that causes a lot of freaking fights. For me, I've just kind of like backed off more and more because when we first got together and we started to live together, then got married, it was split down the middle. Financial-wise, chore-wise, everything was split down the middle. But as time progressed, his job became more stable versus mine. So he started to work more hours. The jobs I had, I'd lose hours, either get booted for stupid shit, had to quit. I was at one point unemployed for 6 months, which was not fun. Especially around the holidays, so it just kind of like gone into like this natural order of things to where I take care of the house and he works more hours. Now granted, it's not a goal we ever had in mind because we've always wanted to split things right down the middle. That has been, we liked it that way, it was easier that way. But the way that it's played out over the years, it's not like that anymore. And right now, I cannot match him like at all. And seeing how he doesn't have time to take care of the house, I have pretty much picked up all the extra stuff, if you will. Was it chores? Any extra paperwork, setting up car appointments, doctor's appointments, things like that. So because of like the stress of his new job and then his previous job, I've tried to pick up as much extra stuff as I can. And no, he doesn't nag on me about the house. There's none of that bullshit. There are times to where it's just like, well, I feel like I'm not doing enough because he pays for most of the bills. And that, like I said, it wasn't something that was done on purpose. That was more of, well, it just kind of naturally fell this way. Not that we ever wanted it this way. We prefer it to have it split down the middle, as it was in the beginning, but, you know. So the chore thing, always split chores half and half. That's unrealistic. Something to that I do want to touch upon, because me and my husband have had these discussions of, well, and I'm not sure if you and your wife have, to where if there was ever a situation to where you needed, like, she needed to be the main provider versus you, and people have different stances on that. From a Christian perspective, I do say the man needs to be the main provider of the household, but at the same time, things don't always naturally fall that way. Sometimes it's half and half, sometimes the wife makes more, sometimes the guy makes more. To me, it doesn't freaking matter. How things just go with the natural flow, and make sure that you're putting in an effort. I don't know, but have you and your wife had that conversation, Zach, if where he's like, hey, if it ever comes worst to worst where you need to be the provider for a while, are you willing to do that? I mean, have you guys had that conversation?
We've had a variety of those conversations. Not necessarily exactly that, but we've had a variety of those conversations. Like, for me, I know that the worst that can happen to me as far as my job is I get an injury that prevents me from being able to hold a CDL. Aside from that, there's numerous jobs I can do, and I'm a workaholic. I know that there's a good chance I'm going to be the one that's working the most part. The biggest discussion we've had is like whether what we do if one of us is making more. I've never been one to give two shits who's making more money. I just care that our bills are paid and that we have spending money. And like as far as finances go, we've tried a couple different methods. This is an advice I give to anybody that's thinking about getting married or plans in the future or whatever. Don't think of it as just split down the middle, or that's how it has to be, or anything like that. Be adaptable to certain situations, especially if your spending habits are different. And I'll tell you why in a second. I lost my train of thought.
Well, no, that's
yeah, we've kind of had that conversation as far as like we've more so had the conversation based on like who makes more and how we'd split the responsibilities, and we're adapting more to our spending habits and worrying less about who pays an even amount. Like, for example, admittedly something we're both bad at. We both have a problem of if we have money, we're thinking about how to spend it. And we're working on getting under, like, I'm not going to lie, that's part of how we ended up in the situation we're in.
yeah.
We're working on getting out of the habit of spending the money that's burning a hole in our pocket, because it's led us to bad situations. We're getting better at it, but we still suck at it. But, like, we thought about a couple different things, because Colleen is about to get her CDL, and she's going to drive team with me. We're going to drive together, so we'll both be making an income. But so far, for the context, so far, it's been just me providing for, like, the last 3 years. Anyway, we've talked about different ways of doing it. Either both of us take care of our own bills and put away the extra money, or combine our money and just prioritize things, make a list, and then pay, like start with my check, pay the bills, and then go into her check and pay whatever I couldn't cover, and so on and so forth. Put money away, try to get money saved up so we can get a place here within the next year or so.
Yeah.
Like,
go ahead.
Overall point of this is like be adaptable to spending habits, especially if you have a bad spending habit that you're trying to work out of. Adapt around that. Even Colleen's had me do this a few times. If you have to tell your partner they're in control of the money and they have to make the decisions until you know, do that.
I know for us, I'm going to touch upon two things. With the CDL thing, I know that was something I wanted to do with my husband, but I'm not able to right now because we have 3 cats. So, and he is still going through some stuff with his, so, but it's gonna take a little bit because we eventually want to save up to get our own truck. We have a plan, and so far it hasn't worked out quite the way we want it. I do know that we're gonna look into see how long he needs to be on staff to be a mentor, because once I go through what I need to get my CDL, then I can have him as my mentor or whatever. And I don't know if you guys are going to try to do that yourselves. And then with the financial stuff, when it comes to having one person being in control of the money. Because I've had talks with people close to me. Something I'm going to tell you, and this I believe is kind of a taboo subject, is a lot of people are underneath the impression that once you get married, you combine everything, including bank accounts, and I'm gonna tell you, don't freaking do that. I've heard more and more stories as to why you don't do that. We can jump down a little bit further down the list, which is finances or whatnot, because we've kind of been touching upon it already on it. Me and my husband have separate bank accounts. We have done this and we have kept it this way, not because we distrust each other with money. He has been taking care of his portion of the bills, which is a very large amount, so he's been the financial cornerstone pretty much, and he does take care of the bills. He has his own little splurges, which is fine, but all of our bills thus far has been paid, and we have paid them, or we have found a way to get them paid. Now, we have kept our bank accounts separate despite people telling us to put them together. And I'm going to tell you that is a bad idea, and the reason why I'm saying that, not because I'm telling you to distrust your spouse, your husband, your wife, but shit happens. You guys could hit a bad area, a bad patch, and one of you goes freaking nuts. Or one of you just has a bad spell and turns into a complete and utter jerk. I've heard of this happening to couples, and I recently heard of a story of it happening. The two things that you do combine, because me and my husband have talked about this as well. The things that, in my opinion, are a good idea to combine is any cars you guys have. If you go into the relationship and you are buying a car together, you put both your names on that vehicle. So if something happens, and say like you get angry and you need to take a drive, your spouse cannot call the cops on you for car theft. That's reason one. Reason two, there aren't any issues. It's both your vehicle, and it's going to take both of you to get the names off. That can serve as a backfire, but better safe than sorry having both your names. Thing number two is I'm going to tell you to put both your names on the lease. I know not every married couple does this for like credit reasons and financial history, but I'm going to tell you, do it. Both your names need to go in that freaking lease. Me and my husband have talked about if either one of us have hit a bad patch, just a bad spell, and we can't kick each other out of the house. If we want space, we go for a drive or go for a walk. Because you do have, hey, watch your mic there, hey dude. You do have instances to where one spouse's name is on the lease, and they have the authority to kick their spouse out because their name is not legally on that lease. So that is something, car, lease, you combined. When you... Careful. When you're first starting out, don't combine your bank account. Don't do it. You do not need to have every freaking thing combined. Later on down the road, once you guys see how your spending habits are and how you guys get the bill situated, then go ahead and do so, but no. Me and my husband, we've talked about it. I am able to look at his bank statements. He's able to get in my stuff if he wants. We're able to transfer money back and forth if need be, but I do not... His name is not on my account. My name is not on his. I do not have full access to his, nor does he have full access to mine. That's just... It's common sense. I'm going to tell you, don't do it, especially when you're starting out. I've heard of boyfriend and girlfriends combining bank accounts. And oh my god, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I'm gonna respond to the comments here a little bit. Like I said, why don't he and the wife go to college? Oh, Oh my gosh, that's a long name. Hi, Journeys. It college doesn't work out for everybody. I know the state that me and my husband are in. College is not a good idea because of the state's financial situation. So, Ken, not everyone's situation is the same. Why don't you ask him? So, Zach is asking from the chat, why can't the wife get a job as a personal care aide, and why can't the guy get a job as a laborer for a carpenter or masonry company? And here's the thing, you actually need to be trained to do those things, which does require a trade school. If you want to respond to that, Zach.
What was the question one more time?
Oh, it was from Ken. He goes, why can't the wife get a job as a personal care aide, to which you need training for? And then he also asked, why can't the guy get a job as a laborer for a carpentry or masonry company? So,
it's the area that we live in. We're actually, they're actually looking at possibly trying to move to another town if there's a good way of doing that, because our market sucks. And like I said, they got a newborn, and right now, due to how our economy is and how our job market is where we live, and especially now that they don't have a car, it's not a good idea for Megan to quit her job. And it's also Ty's got to find a night shift job, and they're very few and far between. Like, he can do all of those jobs. We've talked about looking for one of those jobs when he's able to, but at the moment he doesn't have the ability.
yeah. Also something too is that Evil Co says marriage is a scam. Just stay as boyfriend and girlfriend for life. That's a real commitment. No, it's not. I'm gonna tell you why. When you agree to get married, when you sign the certificate and you don that wedding ring, that is when you close that back door. There is no open doors. There is no way to flake out. Marriage is a commitment, and I know that it's been mistreated by all sides. If you want to go the religious route, it's been mistreated by atheists, Christians, Baptists. The entirety of relationships has been mishandled. Boyfriend and girlfriend is steps toward marriage. You know, I know couples who have been together for like 8 or 9 years and have never tied the knot. To me, they're not fully committed. If you cannot make those vows, if you cannot commit to that other person, what the actual hell are you doing for a relationship that long? That is my opinion. That's not some grandeur of illusion. That is when I made those vows to my husband. That is like, I dedicate, for better for worse, being with you no matter what. Now, there are boundaries here and there that just where you need to cut the line, which I'm not advocating for divorce, but if shit is real bad, yeah, get the hell out of there. And there are very special circumstances for that, but with marriage, when you go to say your vows and you actually make that commitment, that is commitment. Not boyfriend and girlfriend, you're on the road. It's supposed to be boyfriend, girlfriend, engagement, then marriage. Boyfriend and girlfriend don't mean nothing. It means that back door's open for you to leave at any time. No. Because I've heard that argument before.
I think that's kind of what some people want.
Yeah, oh, I know. Go ahead.
Like, I think that's what some people want based on, like, because this is one thing I will agree with. It's kind of a pain in the ass, and which has made a lot of people not want to get married. Hell, I mean, I know some people that believe in the idea of marriage, but they don't want to get married due to the government contract of which you have to sign to be married. Because then, like, not because they want a backdoor out of the relationship. It's because, like, if something were to happen and, like, because, like, there's pros and cons to the contract that you sign. So, like, there's situations where some people, they may want to get married, but because they're worried about, like, for example, they're worried about, like, if their spouse cheats. Yes, that's perfectly well grounds for divorce. I have no problem with that. However, the system is so freaking screwed up. There's still a chance that she could take everything from you, even if she's the one that cheated.
That varies state by state. Now, I do know, and I think I've heard this is true of the Bible Belt. is when it comes to divorce, that they mandate half and half, right down the middle. Doesn't matter what you came in with, it's half and half, which I think is total and utter garbage. I don't get those laws, and there's I know in some states you actually have to prove that they cheated, which is the total and utter bullshit. And those are, like I said, laws that I've heard more come out of the Bible Belt than anything. Once again, there are special circumstances for divorce. Cheating is one of them. Domestic violence is one of them. If your spouse is beating you, run, go somewhere else, get rid of the person, because no. I know I've heard of circumstances about the spouse getting into drugs, and the other spouse going, I don't know what to do. I love this person, but they're putting my house at risk. They're putting my children in danger. And that in itself is a tricky situation. If you need to separate, then do so. But yeah, there are different divorce laws. They're crap. Which is another reason why I'm going to tell you to keep certain things freaking separate. Because, and like I said, we didn't do this, me and my husband, to keep like our bank account separate, because just in case of divorce. No, we kept it separate because it's like, no, my money, his money, we don't need to have Big Brother watching each other. It's just, no. But yeah, that is a good reason. I mean, stuff can happen, people flip their shit, so pretty much anything.
And,
Go ahead.
Like, there's another example. Like, I was gonna say, like, here's another example, like with the bank account thing. Like, it helps with a couple different things. For example, what we have worked on setting up so far is my name is on the savings account. Her name her name or both names will probably be on the checking account. Probably just hers, depending on how it works out and which bank we end up going with for that account. Because we're taking advantage of the fact that we're gone. We know that if I'm home and I have money in that account, and for some reason I get an impulse, I can go get it. The fact that we're on the road, if only my name is on there, because she's the same way. If her name was on that savings account, and she just, because my wife's love her to death, but one of her biggest problems as far as finances go is she's an impulse buyer.
Oh.
Like, she'll see something and she'll want to buy it on impulse if we have the money, and like, no joke, sometimes she has to call and have me tell her no so that she can in order to force herself to not get something.
Yeah.
Which is good that she recognizes it, but we've made sure that only one name was on the account so that she can't get into it when she has an impulse. And same thing with me. I'm not there, so I have no access to the bank, so I can't get in for an impulse. And then the checking account is probably going to be just her name or both our names, depending on.
Ooh, you're breaking up real bad.
How the bank's going to work with that, because. Hang on a second, let me check my phone.
Okay.
How's it now?
A little bit better. It sounds like it's rubbing up against something, though.
How now?
A little bit. I can hear you. I can still hear the rubbing, though. You just gotta be careful of the roboting.
But,
Okay, it should be fine.
okay. I might have went through a little bit of a bad patch.
Yeah, that's alright. But yeah, I know for me and my husband, when it comes to like bigger expenses, we talk about it. As I said, he has his little splurges where he has subscriptions to a few things or whatnot. I'm aware of them. And like I said, because he pays all like his portion of the bills, we've never missed a bill, if you will. So it's just like, we really, when it comes like the smaller stuff, we really don't talk about it. I'll ask him, say if I want to buy something online that's like 50 to 60 bucks, maybe 30, I'll let him know going, hey, see this thing that I really want, it'd be really cool to have. How do you feel about it? And we'll do some number crunching. If it doesn't work out, I wait. There's stuff that he's wanted to get, which is like, we don't got the money for that. Wait till a little bit later, whether they be video games, headphones, mice, things like that. So, like, we talk about even the small stuff. We talk about even like when it comes to going out to eat, which a lot of people, it's just kind of a small thing, but it's just $20 to $30. Just like, okay, are we gonna be okay? And I'm not saying we're like that dirt poor. We do fall below the poverty line, which I don't care. To me, it's just a freaking number. I have, as long as we're able to make the bills. I mean, it's, for me, it's the small stuff, like my hot tea, my computer, so I don't need a whole lot to keep me happy. I really don't. But yeah, we even talk about the small stuff, getting groceries. I'm like, hey, can you lend me some money here? Or I need money for this. So just small things like that. And it's really, really important to talk about finances. When we came into this relationship, neither one of us had a big spending habit. We are both people that are more frugal. He jokes about himself being a Jew when it comes to money, so if we don't need it, we don't get it. Usually, like when it comes to holidays and stuff like that, we'll combine money to get something, and that's it. So we don't like blow money on a whole lot of stuff. I mean, hell, we use pawn shops. We have a couple pawn shops where we live, and we'll go digging around there. So, but yeah, finances can be really, really tricky, especially when one makes all the money. I know that I've heard with couples there being allowances. I don't have an allowance of any kind. We don't operate that way. But if I don't have any money and if I ask him for some, I get it. He's not a stickler. He's none of those things. He gives it to me if he can. And if he needs money and if I have it, I give it to him. So, but yeah, finances can be...
And here's the thing, like...
Go ahead.
And here's like another thing that I tell some people, because like I see some chicks that are... I don't want this to sound like the man's supposed to be in complete control of her or something like that, but for lack of a better word, they're a little too independent. As in, they don't think that they need to ask their spouse if they want to spend money or something like that. Like,
yeah, And
I've told them that that's not a good idea, and I said, this is how you need to think of it. Like, I see where she's coming from. The one friend that I've heard talking about this, she's been in manipulative relationships where the guy got her, like, so wrapped, basically mentally abused her enough that she thought she had to have his permission to do anything.
Oh.
She broke free from that. She's trying to make sure that doesn't happen again because of what happened earlier, and I understand that, but I just tell people, I was like, think about it like this. Don't let them control you, but when you have to ask about spending money, don't do it, and make sure that they agree with this. Otherwise, you shouldn't honestly be with them, to be honest. But make sure they agree with this. Like, if you're gonna if you ask about something, you're not asking permission because your master has to give you permission to do something. You're asking because, like, regardless of whose money it is, you're asking because, number one, they need to know what you're spending it on, because you got to keep track of the finances, obviously.
Yeah.
And two, like I said, because of our previous bad spending habits, maybe sometimes you just need somebody else to tell you, no, that's not a good idea right now.
Yeah, and that is true enough. Like I said, when it comes to big purchases, does not matter whose money it is. Now, I am respectful. Like, I have praised him because it's hard. When you have to maintain a house by yourself and you have a second person, your spouse, who is not able to contribute financially at that point of time, I mean, it is frustrating. And I'm not making fun of my husband. I really respect him, and sometimes I don't show it in the best of ways, but it's an enormous burden to take on. Doesn't matter how much your rent is when you're the main provider financially. It's freaking stressful because you have one fuck up on your end and it's over. It could be over. So crap, I was going somewhere with that. But anyway, like, okay, that's what I was saying. We do talk about stuff, and if he wants to say like make a purchase, like a $60 purchase, or even just like a game purchase, we'll go over the numbers. Like, well, do we have enough money? When are you getting paid? Is it going to cover these bills? What bills come out during around this time? So we constantly have that conversation. He doesn't control my money. I don't control his. Now, I can be a bit nosy at times because I'll go through and I number crunch. Like I said, I take care of all the extra stuff, so he's nicknamed me his secretary, because I'm better with paperwork, I'm better with number crunching. He's more mathematically inclined, but like for me, like I was like, okay, this bill comes out here, it's gonna leave your bank account at this time, so I keep track. I'm very much anal, so I keep track of that stuff a lot more than he does, and he'll ask me like, hey, do we have any bills coming out here, or is this gonna be okay to spend this? What do we have coming out? So I'm going, yeah, and I'll tell them either yes or no, and we'll even go down to the discussion like, well, how many hours did you work, and it should be fine, how much taxes. So we'll have all sorts of conversations. So there is nothing hidden between him and I. Like I said, there's splurges he has, and I don't care, because he pays all the bills and they pay on time. And like I said, when I'm in financial trouble, he helps me, so I don't care what splurges he has, as long as they're healthy. But yeah, so communication, especially with financial situations, is very much key. Do you have anything else to contribute, or do you want to move on to one of the other topics? Oh, something too. Hold on.
That topic for like 45 minutes. I think we can move on.
Yeah. Okay. Something too, real quick. Because I was hoping some other people might arrive, and they might a little bit later. I don't know how long we're gonna do this. But ladies, something I'm going to tell you: do not do this. Do not take off with your husband's credit card. I know it is a joke. It is pretty much a meme at this point. Like when the guy gets married, you see shirts of like game over, or I've seen this shirt where the wife has her hands on her hips. The guy is pretty much in a proposing stance, kind of half begging, and he's going like this with his credit card. Okay, I know it's a joke and it's kind of funny, but I'm gonna tell you, don't freaking do that shit. I don't care how pissed you are at him. I don't care what you need. I communicate first. I've also heard stories, and this was from one of my old supervisors, to where his wife got into his wallet and he was getting ready to pay for replacement tires, which was around $200 to $250. She used it, she blew it off on the cosmetic shit like nails and hair. I don't do that shit, I just like, no. But anyway, she blew all $250 that he needed for his tires and didn't tell him anything about it. Do not take off with your husband's shit. If you think you have problems now, you're gonna have even worse problems taking off with this card and not telling him. I've never done this, and it's just something that never occurred to me to do. I know, like I said, I have limited access to his money, but I do have his information to where I could go spend stuff if I was really that much of an asshole, and I'm going to tell you, don't do it. Do not create that issue. Leave his shit alone. If you need something, ask him, talk about it. If he says no, it's his money. He's taking care of both of you if he's the main financial cornerstone. But don't go fucking do that shit. You're going to create a bigger issue. You're going to create unwanted issues, because then he's going to start watching everything. Don't do it. Anyway, I forgot to bring that up. I don't know why I didn't bring that up sooner. Let's see. Another thing we can talk about, is mimicking the house that you grew up in, or trying to, how should I say, put in practice what you saw your parents do with each other. Did you or your wife ever struggle with that, where you learn certain behaviors from your parents that you saw them do, and then you try to implement it in your own relationship and cause fights? Was that something that you guys had to work through?
I do my best to not do that, because a lot of examples I saw growing up, I do not want to mimic, because Yeah, fuck it, he ain't gonna see this. My dad's got narcissistic personality disorder. So, if you know what that is, then it's pretty self-explanatory. But, he was pretty controlling about everything that went on for a good majority of the household. He had to know everything that was going on. I mean, to a reasonable extent, your spouse needs to know everything that's going on, but he took it to the extreme of... He took it to extremes that he shouldn't have taken it to. He's yelled at my mom a lot about stupid shit that he should not yell at her for. There's a lot of things that I did not think was a good example to bring into my home. Like, I always went into it thinking, my wife's gonna have equal say in what happens around the house.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about certain things, like, that included, like, financial-wise with when we have children and a few other things, and vice versa. There were some things that she saw growing up that she said she's not gonna tolerate, and my wife had a hell of a rough childhood growing up. Honestly, I'm not even going to call it a childhood, but she dealt with growing up nobody should ever have to deal with, to be honest. But, like, even she saw a lot of things that she knew for a fact were not to be mimicked when she actually had a family.
Yeah. Well, I do have, like, a question, because this is something that me and my husband had to kind of struggle through, and I actually toned down a lot, became a bit more open with this stuff. Did you and your spouse ever have a fight about the media, like, growing up? Like, for me, I'll just give an example. For me, growing up, I grew up in a Christian household, somewhat strict, so I wasn't allowed access to a lot of media, certain books, music, things like that. So when I first got married, I tried to implement those rules onto my husband, who had a completely different background than I did. He was watching horror movies when he was 9. I didn't grow up watching horror movies. I was not allowed to watch horror movies. I actually, like certain movie series and things like that, I didn't watch Harry Potter, the movie series, until I was 26 or whatnot, 26 or 25. My husband, we both sat down and he showed me like the entire series, and I enjoyed it, but I was not allowed to watch it. As a kid, I never read any of the books, and I'm gonna say this like on stream. There was certain media after I turned the age of 18, there was certain media that I started to gather because I kept it quiet. Like certain music, I didn't play it out loud like my siblings did. And I know that sounds really bad to say, but it's just, I got to a point, it's like, okay, I'm 18 and 19, I'm not bringing porn or none of this nasty crap into the house, but there's certain stuff that I want to read or certain stuff I want to listen to, and oh my god, I'm almost 20. So, I don't know, did you guys ever have, like, that struggle, like, certain restrictions that you grew up with that you try to put on your spouse and go, hey, no.
Not necessarily, because I had very similar to what you're talking about. I'll admit, as far as music goes, I did stand up to my parents on that. Like, they actually tried to... put it this way, there was a situation with an ex-girlfriend that I had. They didn't like her after a certain point, because she had some severe mental problems. And I did a lot of comments. I didn't really do anything that somebody else wouldn't do. I sneak up at night and call her and talk to her till like 2 in the morning without my parents knowing.
Yeah.
I do some stuff like that. Also, I started hanging out with a group of friends that were metalheads out in redneck country. Well, like, I'm pretty redneck myself. I still love my country music, but I got in with some of the metalheads, and I got really into that rock and roll, and rock and metal and stuff like that. Parents were not thrilled at all with that. Like, they always tried to come up with an excuse to try and get it away from me. They kept trying to force me. Honestly, at one point, if they had their way, it would have been Christian music only. And I'm Christian myself, but I can't stand Christian music from a majority of the bands. Not because they're not good, talented musically. It's because every song is the same.
Thank you, dude.
I like bands like Skillet. Yeah, I like bands.
Oh my god.
Like every song is the same. I mean, I love bands like Skillet that are still Christian bands, but change it up a little bit and stuff like that. But sheesh, like at one point, here's what they were doing. Now, the church we went to was non-denominational, thank God, because I prefer that type of church.
Oh jeez.
Whenever I go. But anyway, at one point they had me during this little girlfriend fiasco. They had me talking with the youth pastor, who apparently was basically getting information out of me so that he could tell my parents without my knowledge, and then, which, no matter what type of counseling situation you're in, whether you're just a pastor or just a friend or something like that, don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
And then, now here's what he did. Now, they had me talking to him because of the whole fiasco with that girlfriend that they didn't like. Now, the relationship ended on circumstances that had fuck all to do with why my parents didn't like her.
Yeah.
And I've forgiven and forgotten about it, but right now I'm just telling it because it's a story. But a lot of the stuff they did during that relationship, they had no business doing. They cut my I shit you not, we went on a mission trip, and they forbid me from calling her that entire week. The reasonings for this is because the previous year when I went on a mission trip, I didn't call my parents at all that week, but I did call my grandfather midweek once because he had just gotten out of the hospital and I hadn't talked to him for a month. And I was very close to my grandfather. Like, they got all butthurt over the fact that I didn't call them that week, but called Grandpa. So the next time, they forbid me from calling anybody but them, which pissed me off because I'm like, I'm not ignoring you because I don't love you. I'm ignoring you because I fucking live with you, and I've got to be with. Oh, this is a vacation from you. Like, press 1 in the chat if you've ever had that with your parents. You loved them, but you needed a break from them, and you didn't want to talk to them for that break.
I know for me, and I know
anyway, we had.
I know we've kind of diverged away from the topics a little bit. I know for me, real quick, when it came to church camp, because there was after a certain year to where I cut it off after 17. But, like, my parents were glad when we were out of the house for a week, and they didn't get mad if we didn't call them or whatever. They're like, oh, we have the house for a week. Yay. So I never got that crap. Oh, that is so weird. My parents were glad that they didn't have 3 teenagers in the house for a few days. Oh man, that is so weird.
Yeah, it was weird. I didn't get it. It pissed me off. But yeah, they did some. But anyway, like, they did that thing with the youth pastor, which broke my trust in him because I tell you what. A little bit later, they were doing the Awana thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Oh, well, yes! That is freaking everywhere. That is in a lot of freaking churches. I know what Awana is. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, it's actually really good if you and your husband have children or have now or in the future. It's actually really good for him. It gets social events. It's actually pretty good. But no, so Andrew was 3 or 4 at the time that he started. I was helping, so a couple of the times that I took him down there, I didn't want to stand there for 2.5 hours doing nothing. So I went in and I helped the Munchkins, the 2 to 3-year-old class. Nobody cared. But the second week of it happening, after everything, one of the pastors I was working at, he pulled me aside and he said, hey, we don't mind you working here, but we need you to fill out an application because, like, for safety regulations and everything. He was cool about it. He just said, no promise you work, I just need you to fill out some papers. Go to the youth pastor after filling out the application. This motherfucker tells me that he doesn't think I should work for them because he thinks I have a problem with authority because of the crap that was happening between me, my parents, and that girlfriend of mine.
Yeah.
And I was like, motherfucker, you just used motherfucker, you basically betrayed my trust of everything that I told you. I wasn't coming to you because I have problems with authority or anything like that. I thought I could vent to you about some of the crap that's been irritating me and have you understand. And I wasn't disobeying, I wasn't like rebelling against my parents or anything like that. They were poking their noses in where, like, yes, they were my parents and yes, I was a minor at the time, but they were poking their noses in a few places where they shouldn't have been. Like, getting mad at the fact that I was talking to her, but I called her. Now, here's what happened. Like I tell you, she had some mental problems. She was suicidal a couple times.
Oh.
Like, the time that she called me when I called her to check on her over that break, I told her before I went there, hey, I ain't gonna call you. I don't feel like pissing off my parents, so I'm not gonna call you this week. I hate to do it, but I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Later that week, she got to a low point of depression, was contemplating suicide. She called a mutual friend of ours to talk to me because she knew that she knew she couldn't call my phone, but she called that out of desperation, just trying to stop herself from doing something stupid.
Yeah.
And like, I even explained this to my parents, and they still got pissed off at it. I'm just like, she had a low point in her depression. What the hell was I supposed to do? I don't care about your rules at that point. I'm going to talk to her.
Yeah.
But like, anyway, like, that stuff's over and everything. I forget my parents and everything like that. But as far as how that ties into the current discussion, what happened was when I got with my wife, everything like that, she knows almost every story that happened with me and my exes. Like, personally, I think that that's actually a little more healthy to do so, as long as you're don't have overly jealous issues. Is like, if you're at a point where you can talk about an ex relationship with an ex as story time, not like I miss them, because like, I'll tell any story about my exes to my wife, in front of my wife, to anybody, because to me, they're stories. I'm beyond that. I'm married now. I'm happy with my life. So whatever happened with my exes, they're stories. So like, my wife knows about all of this, and what we talked about was not doing that. What happened to me when I was 17. The only time we're going to interfere in a relationship with any of my children is if we see toxic behavior going on, like actual toxic behavior, as in like abuse.
Yeah.
Mentally or physically. Like them somehow changing her behavior. Like, you've probably heard the stories of like somebody who went from grade A student, straight A freaking student, honor roll, everything like that, to being like a dropout and a drug addict. Not stepping into behavior like that looks like it's about to blossom. Stepping in for things that you should step in for, but not crossing boundaries because we have a jealousy issue or something like that.
Yeah, that...
And plus, like, we also discussed topics like how, because my child's not biologically mine, we talked about stuff like not bad-mouthing her father whenever she's around. Something that I know for a fact he does not reciprocate. And what else have we dealt with? We talked about, instead of getting like, we're not against spanking system, like first a warning, then a timeout, then a spanking. We've also discussed like this was one of the big problems, and this mostly had to do with my mother after our youngest brother was born. One of her biggest problems, because at this point my dad was driving OTR, he was home every 2 weeks. One of the biggest problems was our little brother.
Yeah.
Now, little kids are little boogers.
Yeah.
There'd be some times where we're watching him. Mom may be home, but we were old enough to know how to take care of stuff. And I'm not saying to parent for your, like, if you have a younger sibling like this, parent for your parents or something like that. But sometimes he does something, mom's not there to discipline him, so one of us does it. Or maybe we're taking care of him in the back field, so we do the disciplining because mom's all the way 2 acres back at the house, and we're not going to walk him all the way back to the house so that mom can punish him. In most instances, if it's something small. The problem came with when mom would come out and be like, what happened? We'd tell her, well, this little brat did something naughty, so I gave him a swat on the butt. And then she'd get after us for it, but she'd do it right in front of him. So therefore, that developed him getting the idea, well, I don't have to listen to my brothers. Mom's going to save me if they get after me. And we constantly had to keep reminding my mom, and she was bad at this for a while. She's gotten better, but she's still not as good as she should be. We had to try try tooth and nail to get her to understand, if we get after him for something and you want to talk to us about it, don't do it in front of him. Take us to the side and let our punishment stick until we've discussed it. If I happen to have been wrong for disciplining him, then we'll go back out and I will apologize to him so that I can tell him I made the mistake. Not so that mommy tells him immediately in front of me after punishing him, to where he thinks, well, mom's going to save me from punishment. Because like there's a noticeably big difference in that. And I even brought that up with Colleen, and I said, we need to imply that with our children. If I get after Cassie for something, but it's say I get after her for getting into the Cheez-Its, but you told her she could get into the Cheez-Its. Don't contradict me in front of her. Pull me to the side and say, hey, I told her she could get into the Cheez-Its. That way I can go apologize to her for being wrong, and Colleen's not teaching Cassie that she doesn't have to listen to me.
Yeah, I will say, and I'm not, like I said, I love my parents to death, and I've had discussions with my parents about like the way that we grew up as kids, and applying that to like my own marriage and my siblings' own marriages and things like that. A big thing is that when one child got punished, all the other children saw it, or my parents would correct each other in front of us. And for me, it wasn't, oh, well, I don't have to listen to this parent versus this parent. It made the room like very tense going, because when they disagreed on how to handle something and they were doing it like right in front of us, it's just like, I don't know what to do or who to listen to, because this one's going to get me into more trouble than this one, but this one's going to make more of a squawk about it than this one does. So it's not a good situation to put your kids into, because not all kids are going to have that reaction, oh, I don't have to listen to this one, but it does teach them bad habits, like, oh, I can just run to this parent because this one is just kind of brushed off. Me and my husband do not have kids yet, so this is... but that was an issue with my family growing up. They got better as we got older. But yeah, very much, if you do have children, do not correct each other in front of your kids, because you're going to teach your kids to go, oh, well, I don't have to listen to them. Or I don't have to listen to both of them because I can't agree on how to deal with this. So screw both of them.
And also discuss parenting tactics parenting opinions you have, and if need be, go to a parenting class before you have children. And
yeah.
You don't want to disagree on stuff like that. Like, one of the things and also that rule I just said about not contradicting you in front of your children, set that up and be a little stricter about it with your parents, because in-laws are the worst at that.
Yeah.
Like, luckily my parents weren't as bad about it. Like, I did once have to tell my dad, hey, don't tell me how to discipline my kid in front of my kid. Let me handle it.
Yeah.
Let me handle her. Like, they haven't been near as bad about it as some in-laws are, but they had a couple moments. But, there was one time Cassie was throwing a fit about picking up her toys, and my dad was saying we should swat her on the butt for it. And I was like, well, I'll give her a couple warnings, and then she started. But I was like, I'm not going to spank her right away, because when her guardian does not approve of spanking, so I'm not going to do it unless it's a last resort. Luckily, Cassie is well-behaved. She doesn't often have an attitude like that, but on the off chance that she does, I'm not going to spank her right away because I don't want to piss off her grandma. I'm not against it, but still. That has to do with legal issues and custody rights and shit like that. That's another story.
Yeah.
And luckily, thankfully, I've never had to spank her. But anyway, we discussed doing that with in-laws. We discussed other parenting things, when we brought up the little censorship thing with not being able to watch certain media and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my rule was, I'm not going to forbid them from watching certain things. I'm gonna base it somewhat on a mixture of the rating system and my own personal viewing. Give you an example of this, what was it? Oh yeah, here we go. When I was like, I'm gonna say 4. Somehow I discovered it. I don't remember how I discovered it. I just looked at one of my favorite movies ever since. I discovered the movie Twister. My brothers and I, from a real young age, always loved that movie, and it's a PG-13 movie. It's got a little bit, of course, it's kind of more adult language than normal, than like a PG-rated movie, and it's also got those really intense scenes with the twisters. But we watched it since a real young age, even though it was a PG-13 movie. And the reason we watched it is because we didn't copy the swearing in it, and the tornado sequences didn't really scare us. Like, including the fact that the opening scene involves a guy getting sucked out of his fucking basement by a tornado.
Yeah.
But I've mentioned examples like that. Later on, I actually had an argument with my mom about this with my youngest brother, Andrew. Andrew wanted to watch Spider-Man with me, so I put on Spider-Man, but about halfway through the movie, my mom comes in and she's bitching at me for watching Spider-Man with him. Because it was the first Tobey Maguire one, and it's a PG-13 movie as well. But that was the point where she's like, because it's a PG-13 movie. I'm just like, so the hell what? And I brought up the fact that I was watching Twister when I was younger, and I was like, as far as appropriateness, technically Spider-Man's a little bit better, because Spider-Man's just got, like, it's only rated PG-13 because of action sequences. Like, and to be honest, the action sequences in that first Spider-Man are comparable to The Incredibles, which Andrew loved at that age.
Yeah,
So, like, what we discussed was, like, when it comes to movies, like, do a mixture of both. If the movie's got a PG-13 rating or more, we watch the movie first, and we determine based on the kid's personality and how they respond to movies and stuff like that, whether or not it's appropriate for them to watch it, and go on from there. Because I mean, like movies can't always be judged just off the rating. They got a system for how they rate movies, just to give you an idea what's going to be in it.
yeah.
But there's a lot of movies you just gotta watch, and you gotta base it on your kids. Because I mean, like, hell, there's I got a 9-year-old cousin that lives in Kansas. Her parents even said, like, there's some R-rated movies that we let her watch. It depends on her, the kid, and whether or not. Put it this way: if your kid copies everything they see, then you may not want to let them watch, like, something with a lot of rude humor, I'm gonna say. But if your kid's mature enough to know that there's a time and place to make those jokes, then who cares?
Yeah, the kids thing, like I said, I really don't know anything about because I don't have kids. But as for, like, media in general, like media restrictions, I try to put, like, for me, and like I said, I've toned down a lot because we talked about it, and I've explored some stuff on my own. I try to put media restrictions on him. Like I said, he had more of open access to media, and that's for, like, a variety of reasons. But like I said, he was watching horror movies when he was a little kid, so he was not so sensitive to this stuff, and he didn't grow up with as much restrictions. Oh, you're rubbing your mic on something.
Sorry.
He didn't grow up with really as much restrictions as I did, so we would have fights about particular games, the content of particular games, movies, songs. Like I said, he's kind of rubbed off more on me than I have on him, which is a good thing, because like I said, I've relaxed a bit more, and we've been able to enjoy more together. There's just been a lot of stuff I've had to, like, unlearn or toss out because, like, hey, this doesn't work for us. Another one would be religion or going to church, because that was another thing that after a while I freaking tossed that crap to the wind. And I've talked about that on my channel, to where I had enough dealing with assholes. I was talking to my mom the other day, and She was telling me to try another church. I'm like, I'm just tired of dealing with assholes. I'm so fucking tired of it. I'm done. But anyway, we would fight about us going to church because he didn't want to go to church.
Watch TV church.
Huh? What?
I said watch TV church.
We don't have.
Watch TV church.
We don't pay for cable. I just no, that's too expensive, too much garbage. But he didn't want to have the Bible forced down his throat. He didn't. Oh, you're rubbing your mic against your shirt again. He didn't want to.
I don't know what's going on because I'm like holding it.
Oh, could be a bad patch or whatnot. I don't know. But he didn't want to like sit there for like a few hours and just hear someone talk and him drown everything out. Which I understand, and it's just so at a point where I didn't make him go. We tried to get into counseling for a while. That's another thing that we fought about. Because we've had that's getting real bad, dude. We've
Just mute me for just a minute.
Oh, are you not able to mute yourself?
Is it still bad?
No, the noise went away.
Okay,
kind of
went away then.
back again. Okay, but no, we've had fights about counseling because we've started off with a secular counselor because we were having some issues, and I'm not going to go into those issues because that's inappropriate. It just. Anyway, we were having some issues that we needed to work through, so we went to secular, and dude wasn't really helping. So I pushed for a Christian one, thinking it would be better, and we saw this person for like over a year, and the issue still wasn't resolved because this person wasn't a actual certified counselor, and I feel they didn't know what they were doing. Hold on, doggone it, I gotta sneeze. Hold on. Oh, never mind, it went away. So
I hate it when that happens.
yeah, it just it's allergies. But anyway, so we would kind of fight over the sessions because there was stuff that just wasn't jiving with my husband, and he's one of those people, like, don't give him a book to read, not because he's lazy, but because, oh, there it is again, he's not going to read it. He's not interested. And he's one of those people that he absorbs stuff if he's interested in it, which is completely understandable. So we tried. They gave us copious amounts of material, and it just after a while, they really couldn't do anything for us. So they tried to hand us off to a pastoral couple who were quote unquote pastors out of California. And we had met with them, with our current counselor, for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And we had it all set up to where we were going to transfer to them. I send the husband a text message and going, hey, are we still on for Tuesday? Blah, 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 blah. And I get like this snarky ass remark, is like, it's so-and-so, not hey, and it's pastor. And I'm just going like, what the fuck? And so they were trying to force us to go to one of their classes that was on the weekend, which neither one of us could freaking attend. And then his wife sends me a text message wanting to meet in a public place. And for those of you who are not familiar with my channel, I'm a past victim, and I kept telling these people I need somewhere private to talk about my shit. So I didn't respond to the dude. I took snapshots of the text messages, sent them to my previous counselor going, I'm so freaking done with this shit, I'm done. So marriage counseling can be really fickle, and you can get really crappy counselors who make the situation worse. I've heard stories of where they put it all on the husband and I don't address the wife, or it's vice versa. Counseling is very fickle. I have no good advice for counseling because it has not worked out for me and my husband. We've solved a lot of our issues on our own to where we just kind of backed off, tossed out what people have told us, made sure we were going with our natural flow of things. So I don't know. I don't have any good experiences with marriage counseling. What about you?
Never went. Tried to talk her into it, but she's gone to like 800 different freaking counselors because of different various issues, and she's not keen on counseling. Which, not gonna lie, in a few areas it's kind of annoying, but we never went. Tried to a couple times, but never did. We do our best to resolve issues on our own if they come up, but sometimes it's kind of hard. Like, for example, I think we could be adults and talk about this. Like, she was sexually abused a few times earlier in her life, and
Yeah.
there's one time where she was just completely shutting out, and we were having sex less and less, and got to the point where we were barely having it at all. I'd go an entire home time, and she'd just tell me no the whole time I was at home, until it started getting frustrating. Like, I started having a problem because I noticed I was looking at other women and thinking, And that's when I noticed I have a problem, because everybody that knows me well knows that I am very strongly against cheating, having been cheated on multiple times. But the fact that a couple times I said, when I was just feeling in the mood myself, and people that also know me know that I have a very high sex drive, that's when I noticed there was a problem. I started talking to her about it, and, like, we got in a few fights because she wouldn't tell me the root of the issue. Like, I knew that she'd dealt with sexual abuse before, but
Yeah.
she wouldn't tell me the root of the issue. And then when I finally got it out of her, she didn't want to go fix it. But like,
hold on, dude.
we
I
still
think.
have.
Wait. We're having. Crap, I think we're having technical issues. It's freaking YouTube signed me out. Hold on, I'm trying to, because the live dashboard shows offline. Hold on. I'm gonna mute the desktop audio real quick. Sorry guys, I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Because I gotta see if we're actually still live. This is so dumb. Okay, so it shows that I am still live. Sorry if there was a hiccup, you guys. Freaking YouTube. Okay. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna turn the audio back on for my desktop. There we go. Dude, if you want to repeat what you just said, because I had a refresh on my end, just because YouTube was doing dumb. Okay, people are still saying it's still broadcasting. Okay, so pretty much you had mentioned that you guys were having less and less intimacy and that there were issues with looking at other women. If you could repeat that, that would be awesome. I do apologize, guys. YouTube's being a douche.
Okay, brief recap. Like I said, my wife had been sexually assaulted as a child. We had a pretty healthy sex life for the beginning of our marriage, and then after a while it just started happening less and less, and then like it got to the point where she was just rejecting me, not telling me why, to the point I a couple times started looking at other women and just thinking, but after I caught myself and got, like, admittedly, when I'm horny, I have a different state of mind than I do when I'm not horny, I guess, if that makes any sense. And
yeah.
When I came back off of it, I was sitting there thinking, this is a problem, I need to have a talk with her, because I don't want to, like, put it this way, I'm against cheating to the highest extent, but I have seen couples where, like, the spouse just completely one spouse rejected the other one for so freaking long, and people sometimes don't realize how important sex is to a relationship. There's been couples that were rejected for so freaking long. I got a couple friends that have cheated, and they're like, I'm against cheating, but, like, I just snapped one night because she'd been rejecting me for so freaking long, and usually it's a reasonable amount of time where it's just like, I don't approve of what you did, but I can't blame you for it.
Well,
like, at that point I started talking to her, and it led to a lot of fights, but she's been working on resolving it on her own. It's gotten a little bit better, but still had problems. But like, we never went to counseling. But what I would draw is like, if for some reason counseling is not going to work, do your best to resolve it on your own. Like, if you've been through some sort of trauma that's giving you some kind of anxiety disorder, like she doesn't have PTSD or anything from it, but she does have severe anxiety disorders from it, which is part of what makes it very uncomfortable for her to bring it up. But at the very least, work really hard on bringing that stuff up with at least your spouse, because, I mean, they need to know. Like, I've told my wife a few times, I was like, I'm admittedly an idiot sometimes. Sometimes if I'm in the mood and you're turning me down for some reason, sometimes you gotta let me know you're having an episode of flashbacks or something like that, because sometimes I'm not gonna think about that. And it's not because I don't love her or I don't respect her boundaries enough to remember that. It's just...
What the hell? I'm having technical... There we go, it's... Hold on. Okay. Hang on.
The freaking internet.
Yeah, it's being a douche. So, sorry guys. Hold on. I'm gonna refresh here. Because it looks like it's being a punk, so I'm gonna go... Let's see. Hey, let's see. Hold on. I don't know if it's my browser. I don't know what the deal is.
That's what I was thinking too, because Sinatra got kicked off of his stream earlier as well.
Really? So it's not just me. Could be YouTube.
Hey.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm gonna go to a brief intermission. We're gonna touch upon the subject again, and I'm gonna just refresh the page. Hey Honey Drop, let's see, of course you need to rank for it. Of course, John. Let me see, what is it doing now? Like I said, hold on. I'm gonna cut to an intermission here. Sorry guys about this. Yeah, no, Violent, don't treat your computer like shit. So, hold on. Okay, I have the intermission going, and I'm gonna refresh this page. Because this is getting stupid. And I don't know what's going on with because I'm keeping an eye on the feed. And, but yeah. way it behaves itself. I don't know what the frick was going on. I do not have extra stuff running. But hello. It says that we're still live, so sorry for the hiccups. My internet's kind of crap. But anyway, as we were talking about before YouTube rudely interrupted, was you had mentioned that you were having intimacy issues due to your wife's traumatic past, and I was going to touch upon about that. I wasn't going to go there, but you brought it up first, so it's fine. I know with me and my own husband, I have issues due to my own past as well. It's very difficult. Sex, something with marriage, sex does not come naturally for a lot of people. Depending on the household you grew up in, the things you were exposed to, that sort of stuff, or what education you received on the topic, that stuff, it just can be completely foreign to you. So me and my husband have had those talks as well, and it's been a constant battle, not because of anything he's doing, but because of the side effects I have with my own past trauma, which I've gotten better, but it is, especially when it comes to intimacy and sex, open communication, clear communication, as well as boundaries are very, very important, and make sure you have a lot of talks. That is another thing that I would recommend, is if you guys need to set rules, I was going, hey, don't do this, this is not okay, don't ever venture here. And that's why I kind of go against open relationships too. It's just because intimacy is supposed to be between you and your spouse alone, husband, wife. There is no room for a third party. If you have to bring in a third person to satisfy you, there is something wrong. It's been proven, jealousy occurs, unsatisfaction, that's practically a form of cheating, just consensual cheating. Which is just, ugh, nasty. That's just me. You still there, dude?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my basic point with that. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to say your sexual assault history shouldn't matter to your partners, anything like that, or you should have to just bow to his every sexual demand or anything like that. It's just what I'm saying. Basically, what I mean is, like you said, just open communication. It needs to be. Communication is key, and you guys got to just work together.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing that my wife had to. She kind of had to relearn it. I'm gonna say, because in the beginning of our relationship, had no problems. Healthy sex life. It would start with going 2 months. 2 months we're doing it every weekend. Yada yada. Well, that I'm home specifically, but we do it on most of the days that I was home.
Oh, robot
and then
again.
she'd have to go for a 2 to 3 month period where we. Oh. Any better?
Yeah.
Okay, it's better. But anyway, go from doing it on pretty much every day that I was on home time to where she had to take 2 or 3 months of just 2 or 3 full months of me not touching her, and that was fine. The problems only came when she was rejecting me on a more constant basis, and offering me absolutely nothing. She didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want to tell me why it was happening. She didn't want to It's basically just I had no idea why I was going on, and I've read about this and talked to my brother who's studying psychology about this issue, and another thing people have to realize about the intimacy between a couple is that and this is what people sometimes don't realize is how porn ends up hurting relationships is if your partner's not willing to be intimate with you and they're offering you no reason for it and not communicating openly about it, the problem comes because you sit there wondering, is it Are they not attracted to me anymore? Did I do something wrong? Your head just rushes with a bunch of, like, what happened?
Yeah, and that's true enough. I will say... Oh, go ahead.
Which is like true in a number of senses. Like, the couple of things that got her to think about it was when because back at the time when I started looking at other women, I just didn't even beat around the bush. I let her know. I was like, babe, I was looking at other women and half considering flirting with them and stuff like that. And I caught myself and I didn't do it because I don't want to cheat on you, but something needs to happen. I need to know what's going on. Finally started having the discussion about it, and one of the other things we also recently discussed was the fact that we're getting better at communicating and everything, but at the beginning of the year, we got in a lot of fights, and I told her, I was like, there's a connection here that you don't realize. The less we have sex, the more we fight. Because anytime that we've taken a break from having sex for your reasons, like, I have no problem with that, but there's been a few times where it's caused us to fight more than when we're having a healthy sex life.
Yeah.
So it's not like people sometimes view it as just fun, but people need to realize it's more than that. It's that there's a reason we call it intimacy, and there's psychological things going on behind that.
Yeah, and that's true enough. It's very much needed, and something I will tell you, and it just patience, because like I said, when I said at the beginning of this stream, if you go back and rewatch it, this was before I connected to the Discord room. I said that, like, my husband has had to put up with stuff that normal guys would walk away from. Like, they would go and cheat. So, but my husband has had to bear that weight, and it's awful and it's unfair. It's not something I've really been able to help for the most part, but at the same time, it's something I've gotten better about. But something I will tell you is just, and I know the patience is not normal, and I'm not gonna say that something like that is easy. And even with my husband, because let's face it, a lot of guys do look at porn, married or not. It's a fact of life. Whether they do it, oh, you got that noise again, willingly, or it's a temptation, or they're struggling. Oh, hey, watch the noise. It is a fact of life.
It's passing on another truck, I think that's what it is.
But let me see if I can go ahead and turn you down here a bit. And there we go. But anyway, so it's a fact of life. And me and my husband have talked about this because I've caught him doing it, and something I have learned not to do is not to scream at him. I don't big brother him either. That was another thing that people try to encourage us to do, was to put filters, like a filter system on all of our computers or devices that connect to the internet. And one of those things, because I did grow up with this in my house or whatnot due to my parents, was Covenant Eyes. And for those of you who are not familiar with Covenant Eyes is a filter program which connects your computer to a leader or someone of your choice so they can monitor your stuff. Now, the biggest issue, because I refuse to have it, not only do you have to pay for it, but if there is not a strong enough internet connection, Covenant Eyes has to be able to connect with the internet first. If it cannot connect with the internet, it will not let you connect. So it's just freaking awful. But anyway, so I said, well, no, we're not going to pay money for this. So we tried another program called K9, and after a while, I just got fed up with it. It's just like, it's causing too many computer issues. It's not letting us connect. I'm freaking done with it. And so over the years, we've kind of had that conversation to where I don't agree with porn. I think it is a form of cheating. There's human trafficking attached to it. You do not know who's a sex slave or not. And I've heard the arguments, well, if you just watch it based off of hearing, it's like, I don't give a damn. All of it's trash. But that's not to degrade people who do it. That's just that's not healthy. But anyway, when that struggle does come up, I don't scream at him. I can't really be mad at him if I'm not willing to meet that need or if I'm struggling to. I'm not saying it is a good coping mechanism, but something I will say to the ladies that if you do catch your guy doing it, do not scream at him. This is not a good thing because you're going to cause him to hide it more and you're going to cause him to shut himself off even more. Do not scream at him if you catch it. Calmly go to him and talk about it. There could be a number of reasons why he's looking at it. And me and my husband have had this conversation, and we've had fruitful conversations about it. Our house, just from like my experience, his experience, and just the way that both of us now jive, we're not. Growing up, I was not allowed a lot of sexual content, like. If you know who Bill Burr is, Here's Your Sign, that kind of guy. He was part of the Blue Comedy Tour with...
Bill Engvall?
Yeah, Bill... I don't know why I said Bill
Wrong
Burr.
Bill, you're thinking Bill Engvall.
Yeah, Bill Engvall. There you go. You know who I'm talking about. Where there was like certain married...
Oh, hell yeah, he's one of my favorite comedians.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot older now. But anyway, there was times where we'd watch... We'd watch his specials as a family when I was still living in my parents' house, and they'd fast forward through certain jokes, and it's just like, can you stop, please? It's really annoying. So, and that kind of carried over to my house, where there's certain stuff I didn't want on the television. There were certain TV series I wouldn't watch with him. I mean, I still got my boundaries because it's like, that's too much. But I don't get on to him for watching that stuff because that's the stuff he likes. I'm not gonna police him on it, and I even told him, like, well, as long as you don't watch it while I'm here or in the room, I don't care. So, but in regards to, like, and a lot of stuff he watches does have sometimes it can get heavy with sexual content and things like that, but that's a part of when it comes to being a victim, because that does play into your intimacy as well. If you're not exposed to a healthy amount of it growing up, you have no idea what the fuck you're doing. So, and I'm not going to go too much into that, but I'm sure you get the idea. Huh? What?
I was going to say, like, that can... can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I was going to say, like, I was kind of the same way. Like, I never... And this ties into two different things that irritate me. Number one, I didn't really get a sex talk from either of my parents. My sex talk was... excuse me. My sex talk was don't, basically. What I learned about sex was the basics of how it worked in health class, and the couple of times I had sex with girlfriends before I got with my wife.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things I take away from that. Number one, this ties into having kids mostly, but like when your kids come of age, you need to have that talk and be open with them about the fact that sex exists. And number two, like if you're open with them about how it happens and stuff like that, and you're not like, don't make that, like, you don't want to ever make your children scared that they're not gonna have that. Like, if you have a teenager and you find out that she's been having sex with somebody, you don't want to make her scared to ever tell you about it. Because there was a situation with some people that we know where a girl got pregnant as a teenager, and she made up a rape allegation about it because she was scared of what her parents would do. And it's a horrible thing, and I could go on a rant about that, but one of the reasons why I can kind of understand it is because, like, the way her parents handled it, they handled it as if the idea of sex outside of marriage was the most foreign concept to them. And, like, that's not healthy either, because number one, people are going to be, your kids are going to be scared if it happens. And number two, if that's how you view when it actually happens, that makes me wonder, were you actually teaching your kids about it in a healthy way? Because if you're not taught, and I know this from personal experience, you're not going to have a very good time with sex when you get older. I learned no coping mechanisms for if I was in the mood but had no partner, and how to just contain it. I had to self-teach myself that, which was a struggle, and that's honestly, I think, part of why my sex drive got so high to the point where it was causing problems in my marriage when it was getting less and less. Aside from the fact that my wife wasn't telling me what was going on, I think that's also a contributing factor to why those problems came up, because I was taught nothing about it when I was a kid.
Yeah, and I will say, because me and my husband have had these talks as well, and like I said, I'm not here to bash my parents. I love my parents to death. They had to put up with a lot of shit. And I've had this conversation with my parents, because it does trail into your own marriage and your own bedroom, is I was never talked about sex. There was a lot of misunderstandings with me growing up because of what happened to me, so it caused a lot of strange behaviors, and I'm not gonna lie, like, people, like, I'm already kind of known as a prude on the internet, but which I'm really not. But anyway, well, I was kind of a spaz when it came to sex because it scared the hell out of me, because my trauma wasn't dealt with properly, and I didn't know certain pieces of knowledge that would help me express certain things. So like for example, that's not bullshit. Like when your body starts to get aroused and you have no idea what the fuck is going on. Your parents don't explain that, so they don't talk about that and how to deal with that appropriately. So when you get married, it's almost like you're cold. I know for me, like I said, and this is, part of it has to do with the church. Both you and I come from a Christian background, and I'm sure you can relate to this, is to where the church will tell teenagers, oh, well, having sexual thoughts is bad because the Bible says to keep your thoughts pure. But they don't go into detail, like there are healthy sexual thoughts and then there are bad ones. Anyway, I'm not going to go open that can of worms because we'd be here all night. But my point is, part of it has to do with the church as well, because they don't know how to address that topic. They don't know how to tell teenagers, hey, your body is going through this. This is, you getting aroused is for this reason. It's these sexual thoughts are normal. Like I have not read through it all the way. I have a Christian book which addresses sexual fantasies of there being healthy ones and not healthy ones. Literally, when I went through my youth group and 1 year at church camp, pretty much, this is how they define sex. This is the only way they define sex, was pretty much penis and vagina. That's it. They didn't go into it. You had 16 through 18-year-olds, people at the cusp of adulthood, and that is all they fucking said about it. They didn't go into the other aspects of it. It's like, well, your body does this. Guys, you're gonna have an ejaculation. Girls, you're gonna get wet. There's no information and to play with certain fantasies, because you need fantasies in the freaking bedroom. There are healthy ones to have, and so when you go into your marriage bedroom, you just, stage fright kicks in, because it's like, is this okay? I was told that this is bad. And what the church does not realize is if you do not teach them properly, others are going to step in, as we have seen. But that, it's detrimental, and
that's one of the things I was...
Go ahead.
Like, that's one of the things I was going to get to. Like, my wife and I had this discussion about when our kids become teenagers, and I'm not going to lie, it's kind of surprising based on how religious this one couple was, but another couple I knew that I was friends with, one of their daughters, she was also one of my teachers, she even explained this one time. She said she taught her kids everything, and her deal was, she even told them, if you choose to engage in this activity, I'm not going to get mad at you. If you get pregnant off of it, you're going to take responsibility for it yourself. And they explained all of that. their kids never experimented or anything like that. The people I know that didn't really experiment with it had parents that were open and said, "This is how sex is. This is what sex is. This is how it works. Yada yada. You will be responsible for a child if you get pregnant, but I'm not going to tell you not, or like if you get pregnant or if you get somebody pregnant, but I'm not going to tell you not to have sex, because when you shelter them from what sex is and you like are super strict to the point that you're basically strict enough about sex to the point that your kids are going to be scared to tell you if it happens. Number one, I wouldn't be surprised to find if there's a high number of sexual assaults that go unreported because the kids are scared to tell their parents because of that reason. But also, if your kids don't know what's going on when they're teenagers and they're going through the bodily changes and everything like that, that's where a lot of teenage sex pregnancies happen, is because they experiment because they don't know what's going on, and finally when they get with somebody that they know that has those urges as well, they're just like, well, it's brown. So,
Hey, you're roboting again. But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and also something too, because I don't know how your wife grew up in regards to her household and her parents talking to her about that stuff. When you are, because this is true, when you are a past sexual abuse victim, and I'm not looking for sympathy, but when you get told certain things about sex, oh, well, it's bad until after marriage, but you're never explained why, or you were told by the church, oh, it's bad to have these type of feelings, or the difference is not freaking explained between healthy intimacy and what happened to you was horrific. That causes a shitload of problems that people who have not been through that can't even fucking begin to fathom. Because, like, for me, and I'm sure your wife can relate to this, and I don't want to get into her business, not my place, but I'm sure your wife can relate to this, and you can
anything I reveal, she's going to reveal.
Okay. But it just, because we already have, and I know I'm not trying to, like, take it to a dark side, but this does need to be touched upon. Because, like, from our traumatic experience, whether it happened as a teen, younger, or even as an adult, we already have filters and messed up coping mechanisms in place. We already have parts of ourselves that we have fucking shut off because it's just like, oh my god, I need to keep myself sane. Whether this is subconscious or consciously done, it depends on the severity of what happened and what have you. So when you have that traumatic experience and being shaped by that, and then you start to go through your teen years, because we'll keep it at young, and you get told, oh, well, sex is bad until marriage, and they expect you not to do anything like cold turkey it until you get married, on top of the other shit, and they don't explain what your body's doing and what the difference is and how to work through certain feelings. Like, take, for example, for a while, I felt like I was damaged goods. I felt gross. And there are times where I still struggle with that, and my husband's getting me to open up more. The church doesn't talk about that. Growing up, it wasn't talked about. This stuff is not taken into account, and it's so important. Because if it's not dealt with, if it's not discussed, if the difference on how to cope with that is not taken into account, it's gonna create so much fucking problems. And I can't put everything into words, but I don't know if your wife's listening or whatnot, but I'm sure she can relate to what I'm saying, and she knows exactly what I'm talking about. We're in a dark place already, and we're already having issues connecting with people. So when we get told, oh, well, this is bad, until this time, it just, goddamn, too many issues. It creates too many fucking issues. So, let's see.
Exactly, like everything you said, I witnessed her, and that's like she's also said similar things about her experience and stuff like that, and that's pretty true. Like,
Yeah.
And as somebody who never suffered any of that, I suffer from a lack of sexual knowledge. I never had any sexual abuse happen to me or anything like that. But what I've had to learn from being sexually healthy and just having the burden of a high sex drive, I've just had to learn how to control that, and then she has had to learn how to be open about it so that we can have healthy communication about it.
Yeah, and
healthy communication relates to almost anything involving marriage, not just sex and not just finances, but literally everything.
Yeah, no, and that is true. Clear communication is very much important, and you also have to learn, here's something too, is when you are communicating, you have to learn how your spouse communicates. Whether that be verbal, physical, sexual, because everyone has their own communication patterns. Like, for example, and I had this discussion with someone the other day, is telling someone, this is just an example, telling someone that you are okay. Hey, how are you doing? I'm okay. That could be taken in a variety of things. Depending on the person, person A could say, oh, I'm okay, and everything be good with them. Person B could say, oh, I'm okay, and because the way that you know how they communicate and how they are, you know, oh, something bad is happening, what is going on? So that is an example of how you communicate. Like, my husband tells me that sometimes I go too much into detail or I end up repeating myself. He doesn't like a whole lot of overload of information, not because he can't handle it, but he goes, So, that's how we communicate. Short to the point, doesn't need this big runaround. And for me, I want to give all the detail, make sure I cover all my bases. And he goes, just no, like, what do you want? So, I mean, that's something too with communicating, to learn like how they talk and stuff. And because like one phrase can mean something completely different than how it was intended or how it was taken too. So that is very, very important. So.
Oh yeah, and like I do kind of the same thing you do. Sometimes I have a whole story that leads up to what I'm bringing up, because my brain, and like I said, I got ADHD. My brain's going a million miles an hour, and the next thing I can go from literally talking about this to talking about a video drunken uncle made 2 years ago or something like that, very quickly. But other weird things I've done that, like, I've never really had to learn how to communicate with my wife or how she communicates as much as she's had to learn how I do. And I've had to just tell her, like, there's been a few things that I've outright told her, like, I can't change it. You're just going to have to deal with it. Like, there's some times where I'll be explaining her something that she's got to do. And there's one little detail that is probably completely fucking obvious, but I still have to say it. And a few times she's gotten mad at me. She was like, what, do you not trust me? I was like, no. I don't say it because I don't trust you. I say it because, like, if I don't say this obvious thing, my brain is going to be saying she's not going to do that.
But hold on, repeat that.
And
you like
even same thing with other things.
Oi, you went full robot. Repeat. Hello?
Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Okay, there you go. Go ahead and repeat, because you went full robot, so.
Sorry, I'm in Iowa right now on I-80, and it's very hilly, and sometimes the hills just cut off the signal, so sorry about that. But anyway, that's been like, there's some times where, like, one of the things I've told my wife she's going to have to deal with, because I can't change it, I've tried and I just can't, is, like, I can't think of a good example right now. We'll just say it's an obvious thing. Like, I'm giving her instructions on how to change a light bulb, for example. Maybe I'll have to, she'll try to shut me up because she knows how to change a light bulb. But I'll have to interrupt her and tell her, look, just let me say it so it doesn't bother me, because for some reason I have to tell her, remember to turn the light switch off. Because there's some things, like, if I don't tell her to turn the light switch off, my head's going to be going for the next hour or 2 hours going, she's not going to turn the light switch off, she's going to shock herself. Dumb example, but that happens with a lot of big things that we've discussed.
Yeah.
But she's had to learn that, and then the things I've had to learn to deal with her, like this relates to the finance thing, like don't ask me exactly how this happened, and I'm not bashing my wife. This is something she's acknowledged, and this is something she has. I'm very proud of her. She's gotten very much better at, and part of it is my fault. I had a problem with that at the beginning of the marriage, where I was giving her pretty much everything that she asked for.
Ooh.
She came telling me she needed a new laptop. I'd give her the laptop, and she came asking for this, asking for that. And it was never her asking as in, well, this ignorant motherfucker is going to just buy it for me, so I'll just ask him.
Yeah.
She just asked, I just gave, and neither of us really realized how bad it was getting. Until we started running into financial problems, and I had to start saying no to things. Like, it caused a few fights of her saying, you never give me anything I want, stuff like that. It caused a few fights like that. Finally, we caught ourselves when we weren't angry about it, and we talked about it. And I asked her, "Why does this keep happening?" And she said she doesn't know. I talked to a couple other people, and one of my close friends had told me, he's like, "I'm just going to be brutally honest. You spoiled her at the beginning. You got her to where she thinks that you're going to buy everything she wants, and she may not be doing it on purpose, but she's thinking that when she asks you for something, so she's not expecting you to say no, and then she gets pissed when you say no." It's kind of the same concept of why you tell your children no.
Yeah.
I'm not calling my wife a child or anything like that, but it happens. But she's got a little bit of an anger problem. She's working on it and getting better at it, and I sympathize with her on that, because one of the biggest things I had to work through when I became an adult was a temper problem I had. I'm much more mellow now than I used to be. Like, I got to the point of mellow from having actually put 2 holes in my parents' walls after getting in a fight with my mom.
Oi.
But I work for those. She's working through her temper issues as well. But when we talked about it, when we were calm and everything like that, she told me, is like, well, if I ask for something and you have to tell me no, if for some reason it sets me off and I get mad, just ignore me. I'll calm down. I'll be fine. No matter what I threaten, just ignore me and I'll calm down. Which was good. We became self-aware of a problem. We fixed it.
Yeah, I know with my husband, because he's talked about it, and or we've had talks about it to where he I'm not going to like bullshit here. I could be very overbearing sometimes and very naggy, and like I said, I've toned down a lot, but there's still stuff blah, blah, blah. There's still some stuff that sometimes I'll poke at him about. It's like, did you do this? Yes. So but like when I want to say like the first 2 to 3 years, like I would just like steamroll him. Like we'd knock heads, and I would steamroll him. Not because he was, and I'll be blunt here, because he's not a bitch. He's not my bitch or anything. But he would just like, okay, I don't want to argue, just whatever. So, but lately, and it's gotten much different to where we, like, when he says something, I don't butt with him as much, and I don't like steamroll him, because like I said, I've learned to like cool down, tone down my shit. Not so like I don't need to have my fingers in everything. Because that was it too, like I would try to, and I'll be honest, like I would try to control like how everything was like done, from the house cleaning to like the bells to like the media, things like that, because I grew up in such a strict environment, so I try to have like my thumb on like everything, which did not cause for a happy place. So we would knock heads and we would fight, and we got into some pretty heated arguments about it, and so, but it's gotten much better to where There isn't so much a power struggle, and things have gotten more like of a natural flow. I mean, we'll still butt heads on stuff. And something I will say, because this is very much true, if you are married or if you're in a relationship and you never fight, there's a deep-seated issue. And the reason why I'm going to tell you is because if you never fight, you're never going to iron out those wrinkles in your relationship. You're never going to come to a better understanding. If you never have anything that comes up that causes you guys to debate or contradict each other or argue, you guys don't have to be screaming and yelling, but if you never have a disagreement, there's something off. Because realistically, you have two people living together, very different people who are going to have constant disagreements, and there's a healthy amount to be had, and then there is a ridiculous amount to where both of you or one of you just needs to chill the fuck out. But having a disagreement with your significant other, your spouse, your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, it shows that both of you have different ideas and that you can come to a compromise. That is the point of a disagreement, whether it be money, car, kids, whatever. It's important to have those so you guys know where to compromise and where to stand your ground. If you never have a disagreement or an argument, you don't know where those boundaries are. And if you don't know where those boundaries are, it's gonna blow up in your face later. So, should have brought that up sooner. But yeah. And I've, like, with my... Go ahead. What the heck was that? Was that you yawning?
At least it got brought up. Say after... No, that'd been my gum. I don't know what is fixation. Like, I keep clacking my teeth together if I don't have something to do, so I had to start chewing gum, so my mouth has something to do.
Oh, I don't know. You said clacking your teeth together, like, it's kind of weird.
I don't know what started. It just recently started. Like, I'll just sit there. I'll just start clacking my teeth together when I get bored and I'm driving. Like, I would do that. I started biting my tongue a couple times by accident, or basically I just got in some weird habit where I got to keep my mouth moving. So that noise you probably heard was me chewing on gum, because I had to start buying gum and chewing on it while I drive, so I don't like clack my teeth together.
Yeah, you'll injure your teeth. It can even crack them that way.
Yeah, don't ask me why it happens. I'm actually thinking about asking like a dentist or somebody when I get home to see why the hell it's happening.
It could be an anxiety thing. It could be a coping mechanism. Could be just you're bored. You did say that you have ADHD, so it could be your body trying to figure out some way to occupy itself while it's doing a monotonous task. Because you're just pretty much sitting there staring at your truck. It's not like you're getting up and moving around or anything. There's nothing mentally engaging.
Yeah, no, I also have a feeling it might be because I dipped for like 3 years.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
Come.
But yeah, I just, like I said, not trying to counsel anybody. This is just stuff that I've learned over the past 5 years. And with marriage, it is a constant, I don't want to say classroom. Classrooms are boring. Well, they can be. But it's a constant learning experience, because you're going to go through different situations that are going to bring out certain sides that either you had no idea how to deal with, or you're learn how to deal with them better. I know for like me and my husband, there were a couple times when we both talked about it, to where we wanted to end our marriage, not because we hated each other, but because it's like, what the fuck are we doing? This is crazy. Because stuff got, I don't want to say that bad, but it got that stressful, got that mentally taxing, whether it was family, jobs, issues between us, and there were times where we felt like we'll just stick a stake in it, because this is pretty much something crawling around on the floor. This is not fun. Or that doesn't seem like the issue is going to be resolved anytime soon. But we didn't. I mean, I had people telling me to leave my husband, because I would vent and I would get emotional, and you know how women are. We don't want to, when we get, and I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but when we get emotional, we either exaggerate or we don't tell everything. So pretty much I had people telling me to leave my husband or that we were going to get divorced, and he was really fucked up. And I'd go to him with it, going, hey, I got people telling me this shit. I would talk to my dad about it, and it's the first couple years is hard. It really is, because you're learning how to live with another person, you're learning how to work with, hey, watch the noise, you're learning how to live with someone that you are closely connected to, and am supposed to learn how to connect with them even more. That is your life partner. And it can be difficult. It just sometimes, and I'm gonna say this too, because it does happen. The wrong people get together, and it shows, and that's why part of the reason why relationships don't work out. But like with me and my husband, I'm not very good at expressing myself when it comes to certain things. Yeah, pretty much Falcon Millennial. When women get emotional, their brain short circuits. Yeah, pretty much. It's like someone threw water on an electrical circuit. It's not pretty. But yeah. Oh yeah, no, oh my god. But anyway, there's just, I do have a lot of respect for my husband. A lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people don't really understand him, I would like to think. And I know that we didn't touch upon this. I'm going to touch upon this a little bit. We've had when it comes to like family issues, because in-laws can be a major problem too, is I've had to step in with his family.
Stories on that.
Oh my, I'm gonna go from the get-go. I really don't have a relationship with my in-laws, and there are various reasons why. The only relationship I really have are with 2 sets of grandparents. And even that is a bit distant. But I could tell you, I don't know what to do with the in-laws, because I don't have a relationship with mine. Hubby doesn't really have a relationship with his, simply because we're so far away from everybody, and it's just, there's been too much crap that has happened. But if you can have a good relationship with your in-laws, do your best to, I know that there are situations where the in-laws do not like your spouse, or they do not like you. And there is a balance for that. I've heard... No, you can get off. I've heard stories to where children have had to tell their parents to back off. And that is something to, do not let your parents dictate your marriage. I do not have this issue. But it is an issue that does come up. You and your spouse decide for yourselves how your marriage ought to be. Your in-laws do not get a say. No what other family member gets a frickin' say in that. They're there for advice, but nothing more. Something I will tell you too is if you are planning a wedding. Granted, me and my husband really didn't have a wedding, but I've heard stories from my 2 siblings that did. Do not let your family members, in-laws, dictate what you do in your freaking wedding. I had one situation to where one sibling was screwed out of a big, church hall that they were promised, because their in-laws stuck their fucking nose into something that they shouldn't have, and they got stuck using a small little chapel. I had another one that, people were trying to dictate to them as to where the location of the wedding should be. Now, granted, you want to make sure everything works out for everyone, but at the same time, it is about you and your spouse. That's it. It's not about anyone else. You can ask for advice, you can ask for help, but if you got drama people that are trying to control, fucking boot them. Nah. In a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't have to put up with that shit, because the stuff I heard and the stuff I watched my 2 siblings go through or heard about, and it's just like, it's too much bullshit for me. I don't know, did you guys have any issues when you guys were planning out your wedding? Did you guys even have a actual ceremony or whatnot? Like, especially with the in-laws.
Funny story. Funny story. Now, I don't usually preface this by, I don't usually judge somebody by how their marriage compatibility by how long they've been together, to an extent, because my wife and I got married 4 months after we got together, and I'll explain why in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got married pretty early on in our relationship, and that's not even the earliest. I actually know a couple that got married 6 weeks to the day after they met, and are still married 20 years later.
It happens. I will say it does happen.
It's to.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Something to be cautious about when somebody's rushing, but don't totally judge them. See how it works out. But anyway, so admittedly, with that, my parents weren't happy. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I think they were kind of put off by a few of my wife's mental health issues and some political stances that they didn't agree on, like put it this way, my dad's one of, they talk about the bigoted Trump supporters all the time as if everybody thinks the same.
Yeah.
We all know that that's bullshit, though my father, admittedly, is most of those stereotypes.
Oh, that's not fun.
Like, my dad's one of the... my dad's one of those... I agree with my dad on a majority of things. But, when Colleen came down for our first date, she was talking about she told a few stories that involved a gay friend of hers and his partner.
Mm-hmm.
And, after I dropped her off and got back home and stuff like that, my dad's telling me asking if I told her that we are a conservative Republican family, we don't believe in gay marriage and all that stuff like that. I'm just like, I kind of just nodded my head and said, I'll talk to her about that later because we had just gone on our first date. I'm not going to bring that shit up.
Oh my god.
And also just kind of sitting there like, speak for yourself. So they're kind of thinking speak for yourself. I'm mostly conservative, but I agree with gay rights and stuff like that. It's not my place to tell somebody else how to live their life, yada yada.
Yeah, but wow, Dad, it was like, bring this up all on the first date. No, shut up, go away. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bring that up, and
dude.
Yeah, so they've had a number of disagreements since the beginning, admittedly. They weren't too happy with the fact that we got married as early on as we did. Then we had some issues. We had some bigger issues later on, start off with this. So we started off when we were first married. We moved in with my brother. We stayed there for a little bit. Then, we had some issues up there that we ended up leaving after an argument with my brother. We've made up since. We've crossed that bridge. We've covered it up. But anyway, it was admittedly a little bit my wife's fault. I'm going to go into too many details because it's irrelevant, but
yeah,
had a little bit of a tiff with my brother. We forgot, we forgot, we moved on. But anyway, later, this was a little ways after we were married, we bought a house in preparation to try and go to court to bring her daughter home. My stepdaughter. We were going to try to get custody of her because her dad's grandmother has custody still to this day. A family member that was moved in with us, actually two family members that had moved in with us, started doing hard drugs shortly before we moved into that house.
Oh, lovely.
We don't live in the safest city on the planet, so yeah. That plus we don't live in the safest city in Colorado. We actually live in probably the worst city in Colorado. And we had gotten rumored by, put it this way, my wife's not affiliated with any gangs, never has been, never will be, but she knows people that know people that are affiliated. And one of those people called us and said that somebody was told to pay a visit by one of the family members that we pissed off by kicking out of our house. I don't because of my job and because, like, my wife's got depression issues, so I don't have a gun at the house at the moment. Well, that plus monetary issues.
Yeah.
No weapons at the house, and no me not at the house, and my family being 1 hour away. And having somebody that's got gang ties possibly looking for us. I did not want my wife living there, so I told. That was also one of the few times I ever ordered her to do something and said she wasn't having being given a choice. I made her go home with my brothers, and I made the decision: we're just gonna get rid of the house. The deal was it was a rent to own inside a trailer park. Luckily, the lady worked with us. She knew what was going on, and she set it up so that it didn't fuck over my credit. So we got out of the house pretty easily. We moved all our crap to my storage shed with my parents, and we went to stay there. Now, we had a couple of fights while we were living there. First, my wife and my dad got into it because of something. This was admittedly my wife's fault. She lied about something she lied about wanting to stay with a relative for like a week after an argument with my dad. She asked if she could go stay with a relative. We let her go just to like have a break and de-stress and everything like that.
Yeah.
She actually had no intentions of going back to my parents' house after that. Me being stupid and not wanting to piss off my parents, I talked her into going back, and she admitted that she needed to go back and apologize and make amends and everything like that because, like, I'll interject a note here. I do believe that you should stick with your spouse through everything. You should stick with your spouse through everything, though I do believe there's a couple limits. Like, I'm not gonna, like, for example, you shouldn't let your spouse intentionally fuck up your relationship with your family for them and expect you to stay with them. Like, does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, it does, and that's going back to the relationship with the in-laws real quick. Like, okay, my husband has a general to respect my family. I his. But, at the same time, neither one of us have a relationship really with the in-laws because of the distance and because of various crap that has broken out with both of our families, and we just don't want any of the drama. It's just like, we got enough shit to deal with, go away. And the fact that we've gotten busy, so we really don't reach out so much, and, but yeah, no, I hear exactly what you're saying. There is a boundary, and, like, even though, like, one of his family members is not the healthiest, I don't trash talk them as best as I can. I do say they got problems, and I don't want them around if they're still doing stupid, and if we ever have kids, I don't care. They're not coming around. But, like, I still...
Oh, yeah, I've said that about
Go ahead.
I said that about one of the family members I was mentioning earlier that was doing the drugs. We made up with one of them and made amends, but it screwed up a lot of things. Like, it was a good portion of why we lost the custody battle and why my stepdaughter is still with her grandmother to this day.
Ooh.
It cost us a house, which cost me well over $3,000. That was just
sucks.
blown off. Yeah, and we have made it. She was close to my wife, so we have made amends and everything like that. But it was said to my wife. I didn't tell her. No matter what the circumstances, she's never living with us again. She lost that privilege of ever having our help as far as living with us, and because we found out she was doing drugs, we did mention that to the my daughter's guardian, and she agreed on no visitation for now. But
Oh, wait, your wife...
it's been a year since we reached that agreement.
Wait, your wife
What?
hasn't been allowed to see her kid for a year?
No. We have visitation. The visitation that was cut off was with the family member that did the drugs that got her kicked out of the house. That caused us to leave the house. Yeah, that family member, we cut her visitation with our daughter.
Okay.
But we've made amends and everything like that. But like the boundaries we set was, I've given her a chance. I've forgiven, and I've forgiven. I'm not going to say I've forgotten because what she did was was really major. I've forgiven her for it, but I'm not going to forget that it happened because I can't afford to, because she fucked up a lot of stuff for us. And one of the two deals were, number one, she lost the privilege to ever live with us again, no matter what her circumstances. And two, she also is her visitation with my stepdaughter is solely. I said I'm not gonna stand up for her, and I'm not gonna stand up against her. Whatever she wants to do, whatever visitation she gets with my daughter is up to her guardian. I'm not gonna defend her, and I'm not gonna support her. I'm not gonna support her, and I'm not gonna say yes. I'm not gonna say no. It's all up to the guardian, and that's what I'll go with.
Yeah, it just that, like I said, I don't know anything about that. I didn't have to deal with any of that, and I don't have to. Obviously, I don't have kids, but yeah, that could be a tricky situation. Just custody battles are so nasty. I've learned that not only from what my parents have told me in regards to when they got me, from my bio mom to obviously the situation that happened over a year ago here on YouTube. Those are so nasty things. But yeah, I know there's one thing I have not done in this stream that I should have done from the get-go. I was so worried about my notes, is I really didn't explain how me and my husband met. I haven't gone into any of that. Pretty much we met at a trade school. I've mentioned it, I believe, on a few streams or one. I don't know. But anyway, we met at a trade school job corps. So, which, oh my god, stories about that place. The location we went to was Chicago. And that was not a good place to start a relationship at all. And he would be able to tell the story a bit better from his side. I'm going to be paraphrasing because this is what he told me. So pretty much how I met him was, it was through a group of people. They would play D&D or whatnot. And for a while, he had people telling him, and I'm not, like, he would have people tell him that he had no chance in hell of getting together with me. At the time when I first started going to Job Corps, I liked another guy. He was very popular, very influential, and he was a person of color, and I had a lot of good talks with this guy, and I did have a crush on him or whatnot. So my husband came a little bit later to Job Corps than I did, about like 2 to 3 weeks after I did. I didn't meet him until September at first, and there was another guy, because I told him this and we were kind of laughing about it. I kept mixing up with another guy because there was another guy that looked very similar to him at the time, and so I'd get these two confused. And I felt really bad about it later, and he goes, "You used to mix me up with him?" Yeah, I did. I didn't know you at the time, so. But anyway, so I liked another guy at the time, and... Oh, your noise. And so a lot of people thought me and this one guy were gonna get together. So my husband would get told, "Oh, well, there's no chance in hell that you'd ever get with her. Stop trying. These two are gonna get together, blah, 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 blah." And so, because I didn't really pay attention to it, and I'm not exaggerating when I tell this story. Apparently, this is according to my husband, because I don't pay attention to this shit. I don't give a damn. According to him, I had quite a few guys that liked me on campus. Once again, my attention was only to my friend that I had at the time and a few others in our small circle. So anyway, I don't know if he would argue with other people or whatnot, but once I told the guy that I had a crush on, like, no, this is not going to happen, because I felt like God told me no, because we were close, we were talking, we would sometimes roughhouse, not have sex, but just, like, you know, play fight and things like that, but I kind of felt like God told me no to this other guy. So after that, it's just a lot of people actually got offended because it was a person of color, and for anyone who has been through the Chicago location of Job Corps, it was under a particular director. They would treat the whites, like white people, if you weren't a person of color, they would treat you a little bit different. I don't want to say racist, but there was a bad culture there. They would pull these kids and these people out of these really bad neighborhoods, but they wouldn't address the culture that would come with it. So if you were a white person and say you wanted to do something with other white people, like share a room or whatnot, you weren't allowed because it wasn't diverse. Fucking bullshit like that. Anyway, so me and my husband had to deal with that.
So were they like forcing?
Go ahead.
Let's put it in terms like this. Was it like they were trying to do that forced diversity crap that they were pushing a lot lately?
It was like they wouldn't, if they could help it, they would try to like have all the rooms diverse, which didn't really work out a lot of the time. So like, for example, me and another friend wanted to study together for a certification. So there were 3 of us that wanted to share a room, and she was trying to get out of her room. Well, we got told no because it wasn't diverse enough, and it's just like, dude, white people are the freaking minority here. It's mostly Latinos and other people of color. So it's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Some of us are completely from out of state, don't even freaking live in Illinois. Anyway, it was dumb shit like that. So when I told this guy no, who was a person of color, because I've had discussions with, he's a friend of mine, I had discussions with him and some other people about it. People thought I was racist because I told this guy no. He was my friend, person of color, black, and he's considered influential in the campus, and a lot of people thought we were going to get together. A lot of people were actually pushing it. From the talks I've had with him, he said a lot of people would tease him about us being together and would say, oh, where's your girlfriend at, blah 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 blah, when we weren't together. So when I told him no, a lot of people did get furious, and it was freaking weird. So when me and my husband finally got together, because we were talking about we'd play with the idea, and before Christmas break or whatnot, or winter break, which was 2 weeks, I went back to my home state, and he had to stay there, which kind of sucked, because if you come to Job Corps on a homeless status, they do not pay to ship you out to your family members if you want to go out. But anyway, so he had to stay there and pretty much clean the campus. It was freaking bullshit. But anyway, so we started to kind of flirt with each other before winter break, and I'd sat on his lap. He actually helped me at like 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning take my bags up to the counter so that they can loan me to take me up to the airport. He had to do this twice because the first time my flight was canceled. We would talk back and forth. The 2 weeks I was gone out of state, we were talking on the phone. And like I said, I didn't pay attention to a lot of this shit. I didn't care. I wasn't there. My friends were my attention. My little inner group of people was my attention. That's all I had. So when me and I want to say my husband's name, but when me and my husband started to date, we actually had a lot of people back off from us. I had a friend that kept themselves distant. We had our entire group of friends completely just cold shoulder us, either because A, they missed their significant others and weren't able to be around them, or B, there is one individual in particular who, I swear to God, because the guy was bi, and I've had conversations with my husband about this, I really think this guy had a crush on him. He had a girlfriend at the time, but I really think this guy had a crush on him because, like, when me, him, and my husband would have certain conversations, whether it be about pornography, masturbation, or what have you, he'd get mad. He'd really get mad, and then he got really pissed off when me and my husband actually started to date, and it was freaking weird. So, like, he completely distanced himself. He didn't want to be around us. He actually turned a couple people against us. We got excluded from certain group events because they'd go out and do something as a group, and we never got invited after we started dating. It was fucking weird. The other weird thing that happened, I'm not making this shit up, because I've talked about the other guy, my other friend with it, the one that I had a crush on at the time, is we had people videotaping us. Like me and my husband would be sitting in the hallways or whatnot just talking. And we'd see people with their cell phones like this, with the camera pointed at us, and just fucking videotaping us. And I asked my other friend about it. I'm like, do you know what this crap was about? And he goes, yeah, that's kind of my fault, or whatnot, because the Beauty and the Beast joke, because my husband is much larger than I am. And I'm not talking about overweight. He's got a little bit weight on him, but my hands, if I were to stick my hand in his, my hands look like a little kid's. So they would make the Beauty and the Beast joke. We'd always get freaking filmed. It's just other weird shit that the staff would like target us. Like, you had and I'm not trying to be racist. I'm really not. But you would have a couple who was colored, whether it be Latino, black, what have you. They would be fooling around. There were couples on that campus that got busted for having sex. And they were allowed to just walk off. I simply sit on my husband's lap and we just... Oh my god. That place was crazy. Like, we got so
that's how it works, I tell you.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's usually how it works. Another close friend of mine. She said before she moved out of her parents' house, she said her boyfriend at the time would sneak in her window so that they could have sex. But one night he snuck in there because he was having a really bad night, and they just laid together. They didn't have sex; they just laid together because he kind of just needed to be held by his girl because he had a really horrible night. That's the night they got caught.
Oh no!
Like, her dad pulled him out of the. Like, her dad yanked him out of the room, took him downstairs. They had an argument for a little bit, but he made him sleep. His dad let him stay. Her dad let him stay, but he made him sleep on the couch downstairs. And we're just like, okay, how did you end up busting us on the one night that we didn't have sex?
I don't know. I don't know. It's so weird when it happens that way. I know, like, for me and my husband, okay, so when me and my husband met, he was 22, I was 21. So we were past adults, we both had jobs, college didn't work out, yada yada yada, what have you. So we weren't little kids, we weren't going around, fooling around with other people, we wanted a serious relationship. It had gotten so freaking bad at that point because with Job Corps, they take an age range of 16 through 24. So it had gotten so bad because we could not get any alone time. Both of us lived on campus, curfew was at 9, and the staff members were constantly on our ass. And especially when winter hit, you had staff members sitting around, and there used to be a path to where me and my husband would walk around. They wouldn't let people do that anymore because so many people have been either caught drinking or having sex. And it's just like, this is fucking ridiculous. We're not kids. So anyway, it had gotten so bad to a point to where we started to rent a hotel room. Like, every other weekend or so, I was on unemployment at the time. So it just, we would spend like $100 so just to get the fuck away from people. Just like, oh god. It just, you could not have a conversation, because we try to have like a mini conversation around this freaking area. But you'd have people screaming, yelling. You would have some people try to start fights with him. You would have people start fights with me. It just, it got so stupid. And for the longest time while we were there, we had no idea what the fuck was going on. At least I didn't until 1 or 2 years later after we left. Shit was crazy. It was not a good place to start a relationship, but I'm glad that we did. We kind of got screwed out of college. The point of Job Corps is to get a 2-year degree, to get your driver's license, which we didn't get either. So when we moved out of Chicago, when we moved in together, that was a rather fun experience. That was also something fun to explain to my parents, which that conversation was really fucking awkward, because I was kind of keeping them updated about what was going on with the college program, because I told them, like, when I first started at Job Corps, started to go, because I already saw some of the dumb shit that they were trying to do with me. I'm going, no, fuck off. Like, they were trying to put me into GED classes because they didn't have my high school transcript out of one of the colleges I went to. I'm like, no, fuck you, you're not sticking me here. I graduated from high school. No, so anyway, dumb shit like that. So when the promise of college was there, and I told my parents, like, I have a feeling I'm not going to go to college with these guys. I don't want my college shit attached to them. I have already been through one quarter of college already, and that's hell enough as it is. It's crazy enough just to get into fucking classes with FAFSA, your books, god, and the waiting list. Anyway, so because of the company that was managing the Chicago location and a few others, somebody misplaced over $1 million, and I think the company at the time was MTG, if I have that right. So anyway, me and my husband, at the time, we found out that the college program had been cut. And this was after we came back from Christmas break, or winter break. And it's just like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Because they're gonna ship me back to my home state, and they're gonna keep you down here. So, and they very much try to separate us. They try to sandbag him. If anyone's ever been through Job Corps with the trades or certifications they have something called TARS. Each trade has a specified number of TARS that you have to complete. So his instructor refused to complete my husband's TARS with him, and then they tried to shove me out. They tried to put me into a job hunting class. They teach you how to job hunt, which I already knew how to do, and I was not going to live in Chicago. It's just like, this is fucking pointless. Get me out of this class. I'm not going to go to college here. I'm not going to look for a job here. I'm not going to fucking live here. Get me out. And so they stuck me back in my trade class. And so, sorry, I lost my train of thought. There's just so much shit that happened. But anyway, so they would sandbag him. They try to shove me out. We literally had to fight to, like, stay together to leave on time. Oh, that's what was. Okay. So pretty much as we're trying to figure out what to do, like, okay, if we don't figure something out soon, I'm gonna get shit back. And we decided we didn't want to do a long distance relationship, and considering the situation that I knew was back at my parents' place, it's just like, no, I don't want to go back. It's just no point in doing so. So we decided to move in together and leave at the same time. And we stupidly told this to the staff members because they would ask, well, what are you going to do after Job Corps? Are you going to go to college? Blah, 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 blah. And we told them, and we had a whole plethora of problems. So the conversation I had with my parents, because I told them that the college program had gotten cut and I left it at that, I didn't say anything further. So I was on the phone with my mom one night, and she goes, so what are you gonna do, because you've told me that you're not able to get your license and the college program is gone. Are you coming back here? What are you doing? So I told her that I was gonna take a chance and move in with my boyfriend. And my mom's like, what? And I hear my dad in the background go, what? And I'm going like, oh fuck, here we go. Here we fucking fucking go. I just like, cause I didn't want to tell them because it was greatly discouraged, and I was just like, it's gonna be awkward as shit. So when I heard my dad in the background, I'm going like, oh my god, no. So they're like, are you kidding me? I'm like, well, no, I'm not. I did. And we talked about the situation that was already there. It wasn't bad, but pretty much I had a sibling moved back in with them. So it's like, I'm not gonna have a room to come back to. I don't want to do that. That's no. So they started saying, well, you need to go on the pill, blah 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 blah. So yeah, it was a very awkward conversation. So you don't ever. I know that's something too that we didn't bring up is like some couples will move in with each other before they get married. I'm not gonna like rebuke it or encourage it. I mean, depending on what your situation is, shit happens. Me and my husband had to make a lot of rash decisions coming out the door because we got fucked over by Job Corps and their wonderful staff, or the company that was managing it at the time. And so we had a bit more issues after we left because we had certain staff members kept fucking harassing us. They wanted to take credit for my husband getting his old job back, and this lady would not stop calling, and it had to take me telling my new married name for them to fucking take a hike. Because at the time my husband didn't have a cell phone. I did. I was the only one with a cell phone, so if you wanted to communicate with him, you had to call my phone. Which was like this with his family members too. So anyway, with this lady, after we left Job Corps, we got put with a transition counselor or whatnot that was supposed to make sure that we had our living shit together, and it's fucking useless. It was just freaking useless. Nothing against the guy. The guy was nice, but it's just like, we have no point in meeting up with you. You guys have nothing to do with what's going on now. But so anyway, this lady kept calling, and they started to harass my family members. Because when you enter Job Corps, you're supposed to give references of your character, how you are compatible with other people, how you live, habits, things like that. So they started to harass all these people on my reference list. Like, I would get like text messages and phone calls from my family members going, hey, these people keep calling from you. And I had finally put something on Facebook going, okay, if this person calls you again, you have my permission to tell them to fuck off. They have nothing to do with me and my husband anymore. We told them to go away to scram. So finally, they call my phone, leave a message, and I'm like, well, this is Kayla blah blah blah, currently now known as Kayla White. Everybody knows my last name due to the situation from a year back. I don't care. Hey, the noise.
Well, I didn't, but okay.
But so
sorry.
no, you're fine. But after I left that voicemail with my new married name, I never heard back from those fuckers. It's just like, bye. It just, there's so much bullshit that happened, with me and my husband in regards to that place. And that's something too, is like, not all marriages get that good footing, like that good foundational start. Like, me and my husband had to deal with a lot of fucking crap. The first year getting married, and even just trying to date one another was a fucking hassle because of assholes, because of the situation that we found ourselves in at our trade school. It just so that is something too, is that not all couples get that foundation start, that you have to learn how to cope with everything all at once right away. So I will say that we didn't get like the fun start that married couples usually get. So we got the hard shit first.
Well, like, how did you guys end up getting? Not like why did you end up getting married, but like, how did you end up getting married? Other than like the ceremony and shit.
So pretty much, I was talking with both my mom and my dad, and my dad was telling me to get right before God. No issue. So we pretty much, I started to look into how to get a marriage license, because you have to get a marriage license. Oh, hold on. Hey, Jump into Discord. It's going good. Jump into Discord.
I can't jump in Discord, love. I'm somewhere where I don't have internet.
Sweetie, Discord runs off of data. Ah, hold on, no, my husband just called. Discord runs off of data, you dope. You don't need internet. Okay, hold on. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna try to do something because I'm still streaming. No. What? Huh? It's fine. Just hold on. I'm trying to. No, stay on the phone. Hold on. I'm trying to do something. Sorry, hey dude. He apparently doesn't have data where he's.
You're good.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. Let me see. You still there, though?
Yeah, I'm still here.
No, I'm not. Hey!
Trying to be sympathetic. Allow this shit to, like, join that stream.
Hold on. I'm trying to get this to, work. Oh no.
I had to park in a packed as shit rest area just so that I could take 30 minutes before completing my journey. Like, I could have probably made it in the last, like, 40 minutes I have on my clock before the reset.
Yeah.
But I only have, like, 2 minutes left, and I'm technically supposed to do a post-trip once I complete my journey, which is another walk-around inspection of the truck. So, me stopping a little bit ahead of time gives me all the time I'll need to do all that stuff.
Okay, wait. Hold on. Can I call you back real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna try to see if I can get this to work. Cause of... Sorry, hey dude. I'm trying to see... I have a... I didn't expect him to freaking call. I have an application here.
That's fine. I'm just.
Ah, come on, SiteSync. More enable.
You're fine. I'm just giggling at the fact that I know exactly what he's talking about right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Doggone it. Because usually I can pop up my screen and it's not letting me do it. Ugh. Oh. There we go. Okay, let me see. I might mute you. Well, actually, no. Let me see if I can, I might mute you for a second, dude. Hold on.
Hey.
Oh, never mind. I can't make a call via PC. Whatever.
Oh.
Okay, never mind. Apparently SiteSync is gonna be a douche. So, whatever. I said SiteSync is going to be a douche because I was gonna try to see if I can, like, work the... Oh, wait! No! I can get a phone call in here!
Oh my god, I do not want to be part of your damn stream. Pay attention to your husband.
But I want you to say hi!
I know, but then I'm gonna make sure I've got a conversation with you and a bunch of strangers instead of being able to talk to my wife, which is what I want to do.
No, me and you can talk for a
I'm
second.
offended.
Hold on, I'm gonna call you from Skype.
I'm gonna choke you.
No, that's mean.
I'm gonna choke you so hard.
No. Okay, hold on. Hold on, I'm gonna call you from Skype. You're gonna get called from a weird number. Hold on. Don't cry.
I'm gonna hurt you.
No, you mean.
You're gonna get hurt.
No.
And you're gonna deserve it. It's the worst part.
Okay, I'm gonna call. It's gonna be from a
My
weird
God, you guys
Skype
sound like
number.
us.
Hold on.
Whatever.
Hello?
Hey, don't sound so depressed.
I'm kind of doing something I don't want to do with my break, so yeah,
I
I'm kind
told-
of depressed.
Whatever. I freaking told. You're a brat.
Whatever.
You whatever.
Alright, drag me into an audience chamber where everybody else can listen into our conversation on my last few minutes of my break.
Dude, it's already happening.
Well, congratulations. I can't hear any of you, by the way, so...
But it's
if
just
you say
it's
anything to me, I just want to let you know the audio is entirely one way.
oh that's fine. Freaking the only way that I can get someone else in the call with using Skype, I told the other guy I'm gonna mute for a second. Is if I expose your phone number to someone else, which is not going to happen. So anyway, how are you?
No, it won't happen because that shit's gonna suck.
Yeah. I'm tired.
Somebody else in here?
I am very, very tired.
Yeah, hey dude, what's up, man?
I didn't realize that there were energy
Not how
drinks
much,
that were sold from, like, Coca-Cola machines at these restaurants. So I'm really
Yeah.
thinking about getting a Monster.
Yeah, you want to say hi to my audience real quick?
Hi, audience.
Ugh, you're
I'm the husband that's out on the road, who's incredibly, incredibly tired right now. I'm usually such a lively and bouncy individual. Oh wow, there's a spider on this web that's the size of my fist.
Wait, what?
Huge spider. Oh, it's just like a huge spider. It's like the size of my hand. Over by the vending machine.
That's disturbing. So anyway, like real quick,
Yeah.
I've been talking with someone else and he's muted at the second. I told him I mute him. But what are your thoughts been on our 5 years together? Like,
She's a pain in the ass. Don't do it, guys.
oh, thanks. You're an ass.
Oh, I love you. You know it.
But
No, honestly, we have a good relationship. We communicate pretty well. I tease her. She makes me want to pull my hair out. It's a healthy relationship.
anything
Is there
else?
something else you're fishing for?
No.
I don't know.
That's it?
Come on, like I said, I'm tired. I wasn't expecting to get pulled into a
I
stream.
no. I told
Well, what was, like, to what degree should I talk about our relationship with people I don't know?
I don't know. I'll tell
I
you
mean,
if it's too
Should we
personal. I'll
talk
tell
about
you.
your inability to draw me redheads riding dragons, or...
I'm not drawing you that.
You're evil.
No, why am I evil?
But honestly, she's a wonderful wife. She's very supportive. I'm out on the road right now, which is hard because I'm away from home and I love the hell out of my wife. But, yeah, I gotta hope that it's all for the best. Beyond that, I don't really have anything else to say, love.
Alright, I told you if you'd call
Trust me, guys aren't great at this whole expressing emotion thing that other people seem to be really good at. So I don't know if it's just me, but yeah.
No, I told you, like, if...
Maybe it's just because I'm a guy. Maybe it's my X chromosome. Or Y chromosome. I can't even remember. I'm tired. Leave me alone.
Whatever. But yeah, I told you if you called me and I'm still streaming, I was gonna throw you in.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that, by the way. No
I...
life jacket or anything. Just here's the cold water.
No, you were warned. You were so warned.
Whatever, dude. Where's my script? You're clearly fishing for information, but I wasn't given a script. I wanna bitch.
I am fishing for nothingness, so there.
No, whatever.
I'm still sober.
Oh my god, I'm so glad. I was so worried she was gonna cam for you guys.
Was too.
Like she's gonna get all shit-faced, and I was gonna be like, no, Kayla, don't do that.
No, it's red wine. I'm just sipping off of the stuff, so it's not that heavy.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's red wine or if it's hardcore alcohol. What matters is how fast you drink it.
Well, I'm not drinking it very fast.
And whether or not you know your cutoff point. Yeah. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not there.
Well,
All I'm saying is it was making me nervous. So there.
Well, I've drunk it on stream before, and I haven't gotten drunk or done any of those things. I don't even get like that when I'm fucking drunk. What the hell?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
I'm pleading the fifth on any conversation that involves what you do while you're drunk. Especially if it's an online conversation. She's completely innocent, gentlemen. She's never done anything wrong while drunk. She's not at all different than what she is when she's regularly online.
Well, I don't care if you
She
talk...
doesn't get mean and try to hit you and, like, cuss you while you try to take away her bottle. And...
I don't get drunk very often, and it's not good when I do. I do remember the first time I got drunk, though. That was...
I'm just saying.
What?
Do you even remember it? Because you got fucked up, dude. Like, you...
No, I remember it.
I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I took her bottle away, and she was crawling on the kitchen floor like, give it back. Like, no, you've had enough.
It was Smirnoff vodka. It was Smirnoff vodka, and he had I remember you had a bad night or whatnot, and
I was drinking it too.
well, like I've never had. It was coconut, and I didn't like the stuff, and so I thought it'd be a good idea. Granted, this was my first exposure to vodka ever, so I thought it'd be a good idea to drink it faster to get it gone. Oh my god, that was such a bad idea. Dude, no, I remember crawling to bed.
That was so funny. Oh god. I remember her crawling everywhere that night, guys. It wasn't just to bed. Like, I think she lost the ability to walk. She devolved into some kind of feral animal.
I do know, what was it?
It was like, no comment.
Well, I'm surprised you haven't brought it up yet. Like, am I gonna bring it up, or are you gonna bring it up?
I ain't bringing up anything more than that. And you don't need to bring up anything more than that. Come on, keep some secrets.
Whatever.
No, seriously, just reveal everything to everybody on the internet. I'm sure nothing bad will ever happen. No offense, guys.
Nah.
My wife just lacks this thing called common sense at times.
No.
Yeah, it's a rare condition. Not really rare these days, actually. It's actually getting pretty common.
Yeah, whatever. You lack more common sense than I do, so there.
Yeah, whatever. But I love you. I gotta get back to work. I just wanted to touch base with you and let you know that I was safe, and I'll try to call again before I turn in this evening. Everyone who can hear me, it was nice talking to y'all, even though I can't hear any of y'all.
No, it's just
it's nice
just
knowing
me.
that my conversation was witnessed.
I
You.
fucking told you. If you. So it's like, I got you on my stream. So there.
Okay, you know what? I give up. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing anymore. Goodbye, Kayla.
Goodbye. Bye,
I
love.
love you to death. I will try to call you before I pass out into my regular coma.
Alright, love. Be safe.
I love you to death. You have a good night, okay?
You too, love.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Okay. Yay for technology! So, I warned him. I fucking warned him. He called me during Steam. I was throwing his ass in. Sorry, I had to mute you guys for a second. I didn't have a way to combine the two calls. I tried to get him in the Discord, but he doesn't have any actual data, I guess, where he's at the moment. So it's like, hey. Are people still there?
There's still people watching. I'm here. You can hear me.
Ow. Yeah, I can hear you. Angel, leave my feet alone. But yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah. He's not a YouTube person. Like, I've drug him into 2 other videos. One was a funeral procession over a year ago. So I had him like join me telling that story, and then it was last year's, I think, Thanksgiving video. So like, I haven't shoved his face out there. I won't do that to him, but it's like, yeah, come here, come and do this video. No, leave me alone. So, but yay, I got him into my stream. I'm actually surprised he didn't
Yay
call
beans.
it. Yep. But so, anyway, how long has this carried on for? Oh, we're up to 3.5 hours. Holy shit.
At least 2 hours I've counted.
Well, it's,
Okay, I guess I got it wrong.
yeah, by the live thing, we're up to 3.5. But anyway, I've run out of stuff to talk about. I mean, when it comes to marriage, there's like so much that you can delve into, and at different levels, but yeah, I think for now we pretty much like covered a good portion of it. I still have 7.
I mean, on the more funnier side and the less serious side, I can confirm to everybody one of the things I learned about marriage. You ever watch a comedy special and what they say about marriage? Those aren't just jokes. That's actually very good advice. Just listen to everything they say. It's 100% true.
Yeah, well, yeah, for the most part. But anyway, I appreciate y'all. Oh my gosh.
Kayla!
What?
Hi.
Hi. You technically.
Hey, I wanted to come on. I saw that you.
Go ahead.
Hey, I was seeing that you were streaming, and I wanted to come on and I wanted to check up on you and see if you were doing okay. And from what it looks like, you're doing all right, but you're seeing you need to fix your bitrate. It is going really bad.
I know.
You're good, but then in the sense it glitches everything.
It's my internet connection. It's the wiring in my house, so there's nothing I can really do about it. But anyway,
you need to get some CenturyLink, damn it.
I just need better wiring because I can't even get the full speed in my house. So, and the reason why I keep
and plus, honestly, if you
go ahead.
I was gonna say that, and plus one thing you have the option for. I know it's not as entertaining, but if your internet's being really bad, just switch to bandwidth and just do a Google Hangout.
Ew, no.
And just do it camera off.
No, dude. The only reason I wouldn't do Google Hangout myself, and the only reason why I said that is because people easily get into your Hangout without you knowing, and immediately kicks you out.
Yeah, technically you're not supposed to be in here, but I forgot to switch me and Hey Dude into the actual fireside chat room, and we've just kind of been hanging out in the hallway, so it's like, you're fine.
That's fine. Did you, maybe, I don't know if you watched it, Chambers, or if, did you ever see the first time I got to talk with Andy Worski?
No, I know I've actually got to speak with a lot of people. I don't really talk with people so much anymore. Just kind of grew distant. Everybody went to their own corner, and there's dumb shit involved. But anyway, the reason why I keep putting my hands up, as you can see, is part of this layout has spider webs. Like, I had a lot of fun with this layout, so there's webs right here, and I wish I had a darker background because they'd pop more. So, yay. And for those of you who are wondering how to do that, is the image format is PNG. It's called a Portable Network Graphic, and pretty much what that means is if you work with a program like Photoshop or Anime Studio or one of those digital programs that has multiple layers in it, a PNG, you can actually get rid of the background layer or the background color. So say if you have like an object or whatnot, and you want to get rid of the background, you just turn off the background layer and you can save it as a PNG, and it will actually keep the those pixels invisible and also keep the opacity. So that's how I was able to do these. So, a lot of fun.
Oh, I saw your layout when you showed me. I saw the entire thing. Good job.
No, I gave you a snake.
Very, very impressive.
I got a sneak peek of it. I actually created a technical difficulty one, and I can flash it real quick. I don't know if you guys are also watching the stream at the same time. Huh? Well, it's...
Oh, Jesus, the technical difficulty.
No, you should have. But yeah, no, I'll flash it real. I'll flash it real quick because I don't think it's gonna do anything to the audio. But yeah, if you wanna.
It's going to, because you're using OBS, aren't you?
Yeah, but no, if you look at the what I have on the screen right now, because I have it's the please stand by. I kind of made something pulsating, so it's like haha. I don't think it's gonna do anything. Uh oh, no echoing. I'll mute you.
You heard your own voice.
But yeah.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, so anyways, people wanted to...
Okay,
Go ahead.
That's actually not bad. I actually do like that. That is very impressive.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff I make is recycled images. Like, I make, like, all my stuff that I have, all my graphics, I hand make them. They're mine. But there's some, like, PNG files that I've had forever, and I'll go and recycle them. The white spade is something, the theme of my channel, so I was gonna do something else. But anyway, yeah, PNG files are so much fun to play with if you know how to do them. And then someone, like, talk about Halloween plants. I don't know what I'm doing for Halloween.
Go
Go ahead. What?
This is exactly why I don't use Photoshop or any of the media programs, because I know for a fact I'm gonna end up sucking at making most of the most of the intermission videos.
Well, I know it took me forever to learn Photoshop or whatnot. So simply because I went from what is that noise?
Dude, are you snoring over there?
No, I might just make my truck making noise. If it gets too bothersome, you can mute me.
No,
for a
you're
couple minutes.
no.
Jesus Christ, dude! What kind of truck do you have?
He's driving a semi. They're
It's a
very loud.
Freightliner Cascadia 2015.
Is that's
Yeah,
not?
but is it like an '80s?
That sounds like it's a damn manual. Is that a
No,
manual?
it's a 2015. Yep.
I thought so because I heard the crank of
Yeah.
I heard the crank of the
Exactly.
gear, so it's just like, yeah, it sounds like a fucking manual, man.
Sounds like he's
Arr.
rocking a chair.
But anyway, yeah, no, I've
Oh,
it,
hey.
it took me a while to learn Photoshop, but once I got the hang of it, it's a lot of fun. A lot of stuff is hand sketch, and I use a Wacom tablet.
Caleb, by the way, when I was listening to your stream when I was downstairs eating dinner, I was listening to what you were saying, like when you were on the phone with your mom, you say you're moving with your boyfriend, and then your dad's like, "What?" I said in the chat, I was like, "Shit's about to get real when a screaming match ends up happening or a shouting match."
No, it wasn't a screaming or shouting match. It was just very awkward because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this thing because this other thing didn't work out, and I'm not coming back. So. But anyway, was it someone wanted to, let's see, I am now using a jetpack and greatsword. Oh, cool. Halloween plans. I don't know what I'm doing for Halloween. I have no idea, like, right now. Usually I go out with friends and take their kids trick-or-treating, but that's about it. So.
You do know, by the way, on your page, you can actually be able to put your display where the pumpkin is at. If you want to, you don't actually have to, but that is actually some good open space right there. If you wanted to show like something about like Warski or something about who was the other nitwit that we don't like? There was a few of them, and if you would have done like a stream or something like that, you could have just been able to put your display up right by where the pumpkin is at, so
I already thought.
But that's up to you.
Well, I kind of already thought about that because, like, this was like a PNG file that I created myself, so a little TV, and voila! Oh, see if it comes on. There we go. Ta-da! So I have a screen. But yeah, I like thought way ahead of it because this would be a good format to use for recording, just minus the live chat window I have. So, TV! It is beautiful.
Wait, what did I say? Wait.
Chambers of my heart.
Oh,
It's
that says Chambers of my heart.
yeah. So it's a little screen. So like I said, I have fun doing this.
See, that's genius.
So
That is genius.
Anyway, now that I'm stopped.
Excuse me. I'm coughing over here.
Anyway, I was actually gonna tell you something kind of funny when you brought up
What?
the getting into a Hangouts thing. So, first time I met Andy Worski, Peach Bailey was running a stream and a memorial for a patron of hers that passed away.
ooh, yeah.
But anyway, I wasn't originally invited, but Peach asked if somebody could come hold the stream until her guest showed up for a couple minutes. So I told her send me a link. She sent me a link. I jumped in for a few minutes, but she said I could stay. And then we were talking for a minute, and then my signal started cutting out because I was driving through California. So I told her give me about a half hour. I'm gonna pull over up the road and I'll jump back in. So I jumped out, waited a little bit. I got enough of a signal. I was able to listen to the stream until I got there. A little bit through, Andy Worski jumped on, and I got kind of excited because I like Andy, and I was looking forward to actually being able to chat with him. But anyway, right a little bit before I got there, Andy was trying to tweet out the link to Peach's stream, but he accidentally copied and pasted the Hangout link. Now, at first he thought he tweeted out Peach's Hangout link, but it ended up being the one for the Kumite that morning. But he's all freaking out because it was up there for a couple minutes and he deleted it. So I was just like, too easy. He doesn't know who I am. I pull in. I open the link as soon as I get in there and everybody's quiet for a second. I was like, oh, so this is where Andy's link sent me. And he's just like, oh, are you serious?
Oh no.
Oh shit.
Oh my god. He freaked out and we all laughed at
By
him.
the way, hey, got a question for you,
Yeah,
Chambers.
sure, what's up?
What?
Oh.
What?
Are you and Peach still getting along, or are you guys still fighting?
Oh, me and Peach Bailey have long squashed our fight. We don't talk. I think she says we block on Twitter, but I don't go and bother Peach. I'll peek on her channel every now and then and commented on her last video, but no, we don't bother each other. So hopefully she's doing better.
So you guys pretty much keep it your own lanes?
Pretty much. She does her own thing, I do mine.
Because I saw the entire thing. I'm like, I saw the entire thing, the fallout between you two. I was like, oh shit, shit is about to get real.
No, it just.
It's about
Ow.
Go ahead.
She's a victim like I am, or rather a past victim, excuse me. So it was just emotionally high, tense, or whatnot, and I was dealing with a lot at the time, and I took a snap at her, and so it was not fun. I have nothing against Peach. Hopefully she's doing better. The last video I watched, she was, I guess, like in a dark phase or whatnot, and she was coming out of that, so yeah. But no, me and Peach are fine. I do think I'm going to end the stream though, because I think my audience is dying. So I'm gonna cut to the epilogue, if you will. I don't mind staying and talking afterward. I'm probably gonna switch to my phone. I need to make some dinner here. I haven't eaten yet. But anyway, so I'm going to mute the Discord room for a second here. So
I'll mute.
alright guys, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. We have been going for nearly 4 hours. 10 minutes shy. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. My internet is not the greatest, so the lag was real. But anyway, thank you for coming out, and for those of you who come to this stream after it's been processed and recorded and all that wonderful shiz, there's a link in the description, a GoFundMe for Hey Dude on Twitter. If you have spare shekels, spare money that you could throw his way, that would be awesome. As was mentioned early in the stream, rent is coming up. They had a situation. Go read the GoFundMe right now. First goal is 300 just for rent, and then I believe afterwards it's 2,000 to 3,000 to get the car out from the impound. So if you guys can help out, great. If you can't, retweet, but if we can do them a solid, that would be awesome. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one. I'm gonna cut to here, so peace.